Buckets.
Hello and welcome to episode 82 of Two Bad Game with David and Dom. I'm Damon, that's Dom, and you are the listener. It is now July 6th to be exact. The draft has occurred. Most of free agency is probably already done, at least all the important moves. We have the beginnings of Summer League in the works, and we wanted to wait for all of this to kind of settle down before giving you our thoughts on all of these things, and it's a lot of things. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube, on Spotify. Leave 5 stars on either platform. Share with everybody that you know in every way that you know how. So, before we get into this, Dom, how are you doing today?
Hey, Damon. I'm doing good. I've been running some errands today for my trip. I'm going to London in a few weeks to see Oasis. They had their first show this past Friday, and I cried multiple times watching clips. So that was happy tears, of course. So super excited for my trip, and I went to the beach. Just did a lot of stuff in the sun. I got sunburned, but you can't see it, which is good. But I had a good time, and I'm just stoked for my trip coming up. And yeah, with all the free agency stuff, you and I were texting like crazy because there's so much happening. But like, we didn't really tell each other thoughts and whatnot because we always got to save it for the pod.
Save for the
Um,
pod.
but this is one of my favorite episodes. I just love talking about all the changes and what it means for each team with my best friend. So that's uh, awesome for me. But how are you doing?
Doing all right myself. I cannot say I've been out in the sun. It's been raining for like 3 consecutive days here. There's been a lot of flooding. I know some people have been in trouble. So, you know, I was gonna say shout out to those people. That's not right.
Hmm.
Um, Thinking
Hope
about
they're
those people, I guess.
yeah. Be safe out there too. Yeah, definitely.
So it's been a lot of indoor activity for me. I do not. I really dislike rain. I do not like going outside when it's raining. Like it is so displeasing to me. It's so
Is
inconveniencing to me.
is it because you wear glasses, you think?
No, I don't like I don't like feeling wet. I
Okay.
don't like it just feels gross. Like I don't like it.
Okay. The reason why I said because I when I wore glasses, I used to hate the rain, but then when I didn't have to wear glasses anymore, I was like, oh, I actually don't mind it as much as I thought I did. Obviously,
Mm.
I don't love just like sitting out there and just getting
Right.
just like soaked, but anywho, what have you been up to at home?
Oh, video games, as we do. Still playing Persona 3 Reload. The big thing lately for group gaming has been Peak.
What's that?
Um, it's basically a game where you and your friends, you can play with 3 other people, so 4 people total, are trapped on an island because you're like Boy Scouts and your plane crashes on an island and you have to climb up like the mountain together to get rescued, essentially. Um,
Oh.
is the idea of the game, but it's silly. It's like yeah, it's a little silly. There's like tools you can get like rope and stuff like that, but then you also have to get food because your characters get hungry. And then there's like 4 levels. It starts with just like the beach and the normal mountain, and then it's like a jungle like tropics that rains a lot, so it's harder to climb. Then it gets to like a frozen mountain where like there's like blizzards happening and it freezes your character, so you have to like hide in like little cracks and stuff. And then it gets to like a lava level with like volcanoes. And then you have to climb the volcano at the end, and that's where you get rescued. Is after climbing, you have to go inside the volcano and climb like straight up. It's really difficult that last level there.
God,
Um,
how does that one mountain has all those climates? That's crazy.
right, yeah,
What
yeah,
if at the top of
yeah,
Mount Everest there's lava? I feel like this sucks.
yeah. It's a little silly because it goes from like jungle to ice to lava. Like, oh,
Yeah,
okay, awesome. But
it
the
sounds
map
fun
changes
though.
every day, which is interesting. So
Oh, that's kind of cool.
I think I've beaten it twice or 3 times, something like that. 3 times, I
Cool.
think.
I've never even heard of
Um,
it. That sounds fun.
yeah, I've been playing with, Shay, Ryan, some coworkers.
Yeah,
Other
I
people.
like the idea that you work together, right, to get up to the
hmm
peak. If one of you dies, do you keep going or does it end?
Yeah, I mean you can if you get like unconscious, you can heal them. There's like healing items, but if they like die, every time you get to like the end of a section, you can there's like a little statue that resurrects your teammates.
Oh, so you just have to go back to the where that was.
You have to go
Gotcha.
like at the end of every section. It's one of those.
Okay, gotcha. I was gonna say because yeah, I like the idea that you're not fighting, you're not playing against each other, you're like working together. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah, I
else I
think if
like?
there's a
Oh,
thing if you get too far ahead, like the Scoutmaster shows up and throws you off the mountain.
if you get too far
So
ahead,
of like the rest of your teammates.
oh my gosh, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
You know what else is terrifying? News. I was it was better when it was like, you know what else I like about working together is
It
like
was
the
better.
NBA.
I
Anyways.
ruined it.
No. This is news. I didn't even know this was a thing that's happening. Is
Yeah.
that the NBA is making missed field goal attempts beyond 36 feet from the basket a team missed field goal when there are 3 or less seconds left in the quarter at the time of the shot. So I always thought it was already counted as a missed field goal. I didn't realize that it never was.
It is, but it is it was counted as an individual. So like
Oh.
now so basically what this rule is now people should be encouraged to take last second heaves at the end of quarters because it won't go against their individual statistics. It won't count against their 3-point statistic.
Oh, so it's going instead of individual, it's going to the team.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. That I kind of oh, okay. I guess I kind of thought even if it was individual, it would also be counted for the team.
Yeah, it's just now like basically if Steph Curry shoots a 60-foot shot at the end of a quarter, he doesn't his 3-point percentage doesn't dip, which I
Yeah,
guess is good for play because I feel like that's a reason players wouldn't do it is because they were like, well, I don't want to make my like percentages worse because once, free agency rolls around, instead of being a 38% shooter, I'm like a 36% shooter because I
because yeah.
throw up a bunch of heaves. So now people are encouraged to do that. So
Yeah,
that's
okay.
good.
I like that. I like that. That's because people I'd rather have that those attempts than not at all. And if that's going to help them take it, I mean it really shouldn't count anyways. It's not like it was a calculated play. They're just
Right.
kind of throwing it up. So, okay. That's cool.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I also
Yeah.
like the NBA draft.
The
Um,
NBA draft. The NBA draft recap.
that's right. And I tried to sort it into what I consider draft winners, draft risk, and draft losers, based on me watching the draft and then reading a lot and then listening to other people who are more knowledgeable than me about it. So here we go. There's some picks I'm not going to talk about because I don't have time to talk about all 59 players in the draft.
Yeah.
Um, so let's go through some quick winners. Mavericks, Cooper Flag, congratulations. We all knew that was
Win.
happening as soon as the lottery was announced. That's good for them. The Spurs get Dylan Harper at 2, which was the consensus number 2 guy. But then they also got Carter Bryant at pick 14, who I think he was probably projected to go around like the 10 range. So he slides a little bit. He's like a 3 and D, contributor right away. So um, that's another steal for them. Great draft for the Spurs. No complaints from me. The 76ers, this is where the draft kind of got interesting. They took VJ Edgecombe at pick 3. I don't remember if I talked about it last podcast when we talked about the Ace Bailey stuff, how he was like he wanted to slide because he wasn't working out for teams. But the day of the draft, one of my students that's kind of into basketball asked me like what I thought was going to be interesting, and I was like, I think the Sixers are going to take VJ Edgecombe at 3, and then that'll be fun. And that's what happened. And he's looked really good. We talked a little before the pod so far
Yeah.
at the is it the California or the Salt Lake one? Which one is he in?
This was the Salt Lake one. The
Yeah,
California Classic is it's the
California
King.
teams.
Yeah.
Makes
Well, no,
sense.
it actually no, it was Warriors, Lakers, Kings, and Suns, I think. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
Still
Yeah,
that
I
Pacific Division.
yeah,
Slip it
Pacific
in there.
Division, but yeah, but not the Clippers, I'm pretty sure.
I
So,
don't know how the 76ers end up in Salt Lake for this, but sure.
yeah. But wait, so why is it like why because I don't really know. I don't know. I told you before the pot. I don't really know anything about this draft.
Yeah.
So like, Is it interesting that he went three instead of like, was he deserved to go like three, or would he have gone later, you think? Or
So I think like most people would have said that Ace Bailey was like the guy, the third guy in this draft. But because of the weird workout thing, I think people were like, ah. And then VJ was probably right after him at like 4 or 5. Um, but I just like that they didn't risk the Ace Bailey thing if he didn't want to go there. And then
yeah,
VJ Edgecombe looks like super athletic and cool and awesome. The shot is a
yeah,
question mark, as it usually is for these really athletic prospects. But I just like that they took the guy that seems like he actually wants to be there. So.
yeah. That's I totally agree. So
This next one I went back and forth on a little bit. Hornets drafting Con Knipple. That's how you say that guy's name. At number
Knipple,
4. Knipple, yep.
awesome.
Uh, and I thought 4 was a little high for him, but he is like certified best shooter in the draft. And I thought about it for a while, and I thought about the next two guys, Is Bailey and Trey Johnson. And both of those guys are like guys that want the ball in their hands and want to score and stuff like that. And then I thought about the Hornets and I realized they have LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller. They have guys that already do that. So Khan will plug in as like a just a guy that doesn't need the ball but can still contribute. And I guess that's better. Um, so makes sense now that I think about it. And then,
Yeah,
of course, they made a big trade as well, trading Mark Williams to the Suns for pick 29, in which they drafted Liam McNeely, a guy that was projected to go around like 17, 18. They got at 29. Um, and then they got also a, or bleh, they also got a 2029 first round pick, which is going to be least favorable of Cleveland, Utah, and Minnesota. So that will likely be a late 20s pick. Um, but, they traded Mark Williams again for the second time in the last 6 months.
did they get people in return? I can't remember.
No, they just got the guy they drafted and then
Oh, okay,
a future
gotcha.
first round pick.
Are we going to talk more about like, do we like that trade for them, or is that going to be later? Like we'll talk about with the Suns off-season stuff
I mean, I,
altogether.
I like that they got Liam McNeely at 29. Their centers are questionable. They already traded Nick Richards to the Suns. That happened as
I
well.
know. Yeah, that's fun stuff.
Um, they have Moussa Diabate, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, he's okay.
Yeah.
He's like athletic guy. And then we'll get into it later in the offseason. They signed a legend back
Yeah,
to their roster.
absolute legend.
My next winner, I had the Wizards getting Trey Johnson, UT, at number 6. I think he was the SEC's leading scorer. SEC is a really good basketball and good division and everything in college. So
Mhm.
that's a big win. And then they also had pick 18. They traded to the Jazz for pick 21, 43 second round pick, and 2 future second round picks. So they just moved down a little bit and got some assets for it, which, if there's a guy at 18 that you didn't really like, I don't hate doing that. Getting a couple assets just to move down 3 picks. So good for them. I think they need kind of a guy, whereas the Hornets kind of have LaMelo and Brandon Miller who they want to build around. I think the
Yeah.
Wizards needed like a guy that wants the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
Um, Especially because I traded Jordan Poole, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
The Suns, also a winner, getting Mark Williams. Um, I liked for them. And then drafting Kaman Malawach at pick 10 from Duke. I really liked that pick for them. I thought he should have went a little sooner. Um, he's just standard big defensive anchor kind of guy. So I think he'll be good for that team. And then they ended up trading pick 36. Pick 36 got traded like 6 times, I realized. I think the Lakers had it, the Wolves had it, the Suns had it. Like a bunch of teams had this pick and it got traded a lot. But they traded pick 36 and 2 future second round picks to the Wolves for pick 31, in which they drafted Rasheer Fleming, who is a kind of defensive wing guy that was projected to go in the first round. I liked them getting him at the top of the second. So big win for the Suns. I had to put the heat on here, getting Lithuania's own Kasparis.
Kasparas Jakučionis.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Um, got him at 20. I think he was supposed to go a little sooner than this, so getting him at 20 is good value, I think. And then my last obvious winner, the Hawks trading pick 13 to the Pelicans for pick 23, which they got Asa Newell, who is from Atlanta. I think it's the guy they were targeting anyways, so they still get the guy they want. But they also acquired an unprotected first round pick next draft that is better of the Pelicans, who are the Pelicans and always find a way to do horrible, and the Bucks, who had a lot of question marks going into this offseason. So they move back, they still get the guy they want, and they get a first round pick next year that has the potential to be pretty good. So
Cool. Cool. That's
those are
kind
my
of
winners.
and just on like from my side, like that's kind of what the consensus I saw from what a lot I was listening to and what I know of the draft and these players. I did a little bit of research in Kasparas Shakachonis because he's Lithuanian,
Hmm.
and I like him a lot for the Heat. I hope he can kind of be like a Jaime Jaquez, kind of just he'll plug in. I really hope that the Heat are maybe. They probably, they always find a way to be competitive, but I hope they
Right,
find minutes for these guys, and they usually do. So I hope he's able to play, is my thing. But excited to see another Lithuanian in the league.
for sure.
Yeah.
We need all the Lithuanians. Okay, some draft risks. These are ones that I think could work out, could not. We'll see. The Jazz, they traded for pick 18, like I mentioned, getting Walter Clayton Jr., um, who was crying like a baby when he got drafted, which was cute. He also has a baby, which is weird. They like showed his girlfriend, I don't know, and baby in the draft, and I was like, this is strange.
Yeah.
Um, but the bigger risk, obviously, drafting Ace Bailey at 5. So talent wise, this is the guy that you would want to take here. But all the reports from Ace Bailey not working out, whereas he's from the East Coast, I think, and he went to Rutgers, which of course is in New York. And I think he wanted to stay relatively on the East Coast. Didn't want to go to Philly because Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Paul George. I think he probably wanted the ball a little more than he was going to get on that team. But next in the draft, the Wizards at 6. That's East Coast. Um, and now I'm forgetting. The Pelicans at 7 is kind of on the East, and then the Nets at 8, Brooklyn. That's in New York. So
Yeah.
I think he wanted to go to one of those teams because he would have got the ball more and been like a guy. But Danny Ainge is Danny Ainge, and is like, yeah, I'm just going to take you at pick 5 because you're the best talent and you're going to deal with it. So it's a
Yeah.
risk if he doesn't want to be there, but hopefully he doesn't do anything crazy.
I even read reports that like they didn't hear from him after he got drafted and they didn't know he was gonna even show up to training camp or something. And then he did. Something like that, and it's like that's so crazy. Like you're in
Yeah,
the NBA, like that's no, this is a 1 in a million shot. Like
right.
you'll find, hey, if you're good enough, you will find a way to go where you want to go. You know what I mean? So I kind of wish he was a bit more grateful, but I don't know his life. I don't know whatever. I only know what I hear. So
Yeah, it is weird trying to pick your destination coming out of college. Strange.
that's why I hate 2K. I always pick where I get to go. It's not fair. I shouldn't get a choice.
It's true. It's true. Need that
Okay.
realism.
Yeah.
Big risk. Next big risk I had the Pelicans. So they drafted Jeremiah Fears at 7, which I said I liked a lot, and I still do. Um, he is kind of that Russell Westbrook mold in that he's an athletic point guard with a big motor whose shot is a little questionable. Thing that makes it a risk though is that they did trade for Jordan Poole, which again we'll talk about later. Um, and then they have DeJounte Murray still on that team. So where does he get those reps? I'm not sure. But the bigger risk, of course, trading up for pick 13 and trading that first round pick next year to draft Derek Queen. So I like Derek Queen. Their best center at the start of last year was Daniel Tice. So I'm glad that they have another guy. And of course, Yves Missy became pretty good throughout the year.
Yeah.
But he's really the only guy on that team that I think you can kind of trust. So going up getting Derek Queen is cool. He is kind of a playmaking post big, which we have seen some success for in the NBA.
Is he like Derek Lively?
Mm, Derek Lively.
Because you
I don't
said
know what his,
playmaking big, so that's why I was.
yeah, I don't know what his, I feel like it's more like Şengün-esque.
Gotcha.
Like he likes to get down in the post and spin around and pass and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes
Not
so much sense.
not one for one comparison by any means, but um, it's just the trading the unprotected pick next year when you're the Pelicans and you're in a very stacked Western Conference, and you have a lot of question marks surrounding your team regarding health and stuff. If it ends up being the number 5 pick next year that they got rid of, that could be unfortunate. Um,
Yeah.
and then it's on Derek Queen's shoulders to kind of become a star. Um, and we'll see. I think a lot of people automatically put the Pelicans as losers, but if this is the guy you wanted and he was there, then you probably could have gotten rid of something less. But I'm a fan of teams getting their guy.
What I find interesting about the draft too, like determining who wins, who is, a risk a loser, it's almost not really about the person you drafted. It's about the repercussions of the person you drafted. So it's
Right.
like, and it's so strategic. Like you're saying, the reason why this was a risk is not because they drafted Derek Queen or Jeremiah Fears. It's because they traded away their first round pick next. It's not even about these guys, which is so like I never would think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Like when I would play 2K, I would trade away picks like crazy. 'Cause I don't care really. I want people on my team. And obviously that's why I'm not a good GM on 2K anyway. So, um, but yeah, no, it's just that's at least what I'm recognizing from this, um, personally. So
Yeah.
kind of
But
cool
I'm a fan of getting your guy if you want to get your guy.
for
So
sure. Yeah.
hopefully it works out for them. My last risk, I think a lot of people had this one as a win, actually. I just put it as a risk. But the Grizzlies, they traded pick 16, a 2028 Magic first round pick, to future second round picks to move up to pick 11. This is with the Blazers, and they drafted Cedric Coward. Um, I like Cedric Coward. He's old. He's like 23. From Washington State, which is the same school that Klay Thompson went to. Um, I like the player. I like the pick because of the Desmond Bane trade. They kind of need more guys to plug in and fill that role.
And
And I
he's
think that
older, so he can play this season.
yeah, he can kind of come in and be a contributor right away. The only reason it's a little bit of a risk is that you trade a Magic pick in 3 years. Now, we think the Magic they have Paolo, they have Franz, they have Desmond Bane now. They'll probably be good in 3 years, so then it's not that big of a deal. Um, but I don't know if between pick 11 and 16, obviously it's impossible to tell. I don't know if he would have got drafted. He might have just been there. So.
Yeah.
And another thing I dislike about the draft
I
that I
see what you're
wish they
saying.
would fix is when teams do this, obviously it takes time to finalize these trades and stuff, paperwork and all that. Just let the guy grab the Grizzlies hat. Now his
Oh,
picture's in the Blazers hat because the trade wasn't finalized, but he's never going to play for the Blazers, or at least not in the start of his career. So,
I kind of don't hate that because like I love like the Kobe pictures of him on draft night in a Hornets hat. Like the one like the kind of it's almost like history. It's like oh the one that got away. I don't know. Obviously it's better if they wear the hat they get drafted to, but I also don't hate if it's like something happens. But if it's already like going through like what you're talking about, then for sure. Like okay, it's not official, but everyone's talking it's gonna happen. Like just give
it's
him the
like
hat.
Luca and Trae Young wearing their team's hats. Luca's wearing a Hawks hat, Trae Young's wearing a Babs hat.
Yeah, it's like that's kind of cool. But like that, but
Okay.
that was again not finalized before. I feel like that happened on draft night, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these happen on draft night, but like later in the draft, Adam Silver comes back and he's like, "This team is trading the rights to this player,"
Hmm.
but it was like 20 picks ago. I'm like, okay, we know
Oh,
actually. We've all seen it on Twitter and such already.
yeah.
So
Well, I understand though what you mean. It would be so much easier if they just wore the hat they got, even if it's not official. We know what's going on. Just take that.
yeah,
Just wear the right hat. Yeah.
All right. Lastly, I have a couple of draft losers for you here. I have the Nets as my first one. They take Yegor Dimon at pick 8. It was kind of the first reach of the draft, I suppose, where people are like, "Whoa, that's a little high." He's like a big playmaking guard that can't shoot, basically. And then before the draft, I told you and Jared that they had 5 picks, so maybe they'll do something. They just drafted 5 guys. Picks 19, 22, 26, and 27. Used all of those picks. Brought all those players on. 4 of them are guards. So uh, that'll be interesting. I don't know. It's like, you're setting up a little competition amongst themselves, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
love that. I would have liked if they, 2 or 3 guys that they really liked. I think about the Rockets back when we drafted Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, but we also in that draft took Usman Garuba and Josh Christopher, so we're no longer on the team because we just had too many young guys competing for minutes. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I feel like that is what could happen here. But I guess if they weren't sure and they're like, let's just take all the shots and maybe somebody works out, I guess it's fine, and they don't really have anything going on over there anyways. Um, yeah, I don't know, maybe like one of those higher teams that uh just wanted to get like 1 or 2 players to fill in, like one of those better teams, and they could have given you like a young asset instead
Yeah.
for the future. Uh, yeah, it's a lot of guys.
Yeah, no, I that's bizarre to me to draft 5 people. Um because you already have a full draft, like a full roster already, and then you have all these other guys, and like not
Right.
all of them are going to be able to get signed. Some of them are going to go to the G League or two-way contracts or just out of the league. It's just maybe it's a little bit too much competition, you know?
Yeah,
It's already so much pressure.
a lot of guys. And then I had the Raptors drafting Colin Murray Boyles at pick 9. I like Colin Murray Boyles. I think he'll be an okay player in the NBA. The reason I put this as a loss for the Raptors, a couple things. So, I mean, this is around where this guy was supposed to go. He is I've said it like 5 times already, a defensive wing 3 guy. But the Raptors have like 8 of those guys already. That's like their whole team all the time. As guys that can play defense and shoot 3. Um, And he didn't look, him and his girlfriend didn't look like they were super pleased when he was drafted by the Raptors. And then also the biggest reason though is their Kaman Malawach, who I said the Suns were a winner for getting him at 10, was right there at 9. And they really only have Jakob Poeltl at center, who they paid a lot of money, and we'll talk about that later. Um, just thought it would have been a better fit to draft that guy. That's
Yeah.
all.
What was this after the draft after or before they let go the GM of the Raptors? I forgot his name.
Masai Ujiri, yeah, this is in our free agency news too. The
Yeah.
morning after he was let go.
Oh, so okay.
But
So it was
apparently,
still him because he's the one who loves the wings and stuff. Yeah.
according to reports, he didn't really have it. Like it was already known that he was going to leave. So yeah, I don't think
Okay.
he picked draft picks.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Um, okay, my last loser. This one was pretty consensus across the board. The Blazers trading back for pick 16, like I mentioned, drafting Young Hansen, who is known as the Chinese Jokic, is what they called him in the draft broadcast. So I thought was kind of crazy. Um, he was projected, I think, to go in the second round around like 35, 40, and they drafted him at 16. I did read that they had been looking at this guy and studying this guy for years, and they were very excited about bringing him on. And like I said earlier, I like when teams get their guy, but maybe they could have traded back a little further and got some more assets and still gotten him.
Gotcha.
Um, and then when they drafted him, they drafted Klingon last year. They had Aiton. They don't anymore, but they had Aiton. So another center for
Yeah.
the Blazers.
Yeah, but it seems that at least now, like, okay, we got our starting center. Here's a backup. And it's so interesting again because they're losers not for drafting their guy, but they're losers for not doing better at trying to strategize how to get him and more out of it too, which I
Yeah.
find
It was
fascinating.
kind of funny when they drafted him. They showed him like, they have. I like how the NBA does or did the draft this year, where they had the green room of players, and they all had these little like golden basketballs with their name on it. all around the
Oh,
floor and stuff, which was cool. Young Hansen, because he was projected to go in the second round, he's just sitting up somewhere. Like he's not on the floor. He's sitting up in the rafters, and he had to like come down to the stage, which was cool.
that's
And
kind of funny.
guys that are projected to go in the second round, typically like they're not given that floor seat. They're not invited per se, but they can still show up. So it would have been a little awkward if he wasn't there, and they were like, "Yeah, they drafted this guy who's not here."
Well, also, is this the first year they're doing the draft on over 2 days, right?
Right, right,
Yeah. So I'm
exactly.
like, oh yeah, so definitely they might not have been there if they're like, oh, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go in the second round. So
Yeah,
yeah,
very
crazy.
fair. Yeah, because I'm sure there were people like Rasheer Fleming who went the number one pick of the second round, who would have thought that they were going to go in the first round, and
Hmm.
now he's there with his family or whoever he brings, doesn't get drafted. Okay, I guess we got to come back
He's
tomorrow.
like, I
Yay.
know what we're doing tomorrow. Sorry.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so you have this note here too from
hmm
also I just want to thank you for breaking down the draft and doing that. As I've mentioned already, I'm not very privy to that. So thank you for breaking it down. I understand a lot better now. And then from picks 10 to 30, every pick except two were traded at least once. Crazy. Um, can I guess what two teams used their own picks in this range? I'm gonna go 76ers.
I'll give you, well, 76ers were pick three. This is from
Oh,
pick
10 to
10 to
30. Oh my
30.
God. Oh my God. Okay,
The
okay.
first nine picks were all that team's picks.
Got it, got it, got
Um,
it.
but from 10 to 30, I think it was pick 12 and pick 28 were the only ones that didn't move, if that helps
Uh,
you.
I'm just shots in the dark because I don't know anything. I'm gonna say like Warriors.
Nope.
Let's go Celtics.
Celtics, pick 28, drafted
What I
Hugo
say?
Gonzalez. Yeah.
Okay, number 12. Oh my God, who was number 12?
This team is
I
perennially mediocre.
I was gonna say the Nets, but maybe the Kings.
No, the Nets were 8. The Kings a good guess, not the Kings. The Kings have a lot of players from this team that they acquired in recent years.
Well, who'd they draft? I won't know if you tell me the
Who
name.
did the team
Oh,
draft?
Bulls, Bulls.
That's the Bulls, yeah.
Nah, okay, okay, okay. Ah,
Noah
okay.
Esenga is who they drafted.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
what team did they all draft from? I don't. You said
huh?
they like to pick. You said, yeah, there's a lot of players from the same.
Oh, because Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are on the Kings. They used to be on the Bulls.
Oh, that's what you meant. I got you, gotcha. Yeah. Bulls. What do you think of the Noah Singeh draft
Um,
pick?
Fine. I don't know. He's like a kind of a project pick. He's the second youngest player in the draft, so that's cool. Um, Big French wing guy.
Yeah,
So
another
I
Frenchman.
think he'll be okay. Do you know who the youngest player was?
Was it VJ Edgecombe?
Nope, it was Cooper Flag.
Oh my God, really? That's
Yeah,
funny.
he reclassified, so he graduated, I think, a year early from high school, if I remember correctly. So he's like
Gotcha.
barely 18. Um,
Okay.
from Newport, Maine, I learned because they showed the whole state of Maine during the draft, basically. I was like, I didn't know they played basketball over there.
Yeah, I watched a little something about him too because I know nothing about him. It was just him talking about his childhood and stuff, just about him. Like he, one of his friends he went to school with owns like a pea farm, like peas, and he would like on the summers like work on the farm picking peas and stuff. So I thought it was pretty
Interesting.
interesting. Anyways, you know what's really interesting? The free agency
Yay.
recap. Let's go crazy. We're getting
Let's do it.
crazy. We're gonna start with with a pretty cool thing. So we're gonna start with the Suns real quick.
Uh-huh.
The Suns, they signed Nigel Hayes Davis, a 2025 EuroLeague champion, Finals MVP, Turkish Cup champion, and MVP to a 1 year deal.
Welcome to
Um,
the States.
Welcome to the United States. This is kind of reminds me of like a Gershon Yabusele, like last year, although he was already in the league. But
Yeah.
this is just a new signing for the Suns. I believe he's also a center or like a big
Yeah,
guy,
he's like a
tall
shooting
guy.
guard.
Oh, so I'm wrong. So I'm just wrong. So I'm just wrong.
Yeah, they got him, they got
Um,
Devin Booker, they got Jalen Green, they got Bradley Beal. They just got nothing but shooting guards over
I
on
love that, and
Phoenix.
also Hornets centers. They got that,
Yeah.
and just a lot of centers from the Hornets. So that's very interesting. And then the Magic, a lot. So what's going to happen throughout this is we're going to kind of go through teams that we kind of feel in the importance of the free agency. But we're probably going to hop back and forth a little bit because there is some overlap over some things. You know,
Yeah.
we might talk about the repercussions of one team signing one guy or another. So I'm just kind of like letting the listener know right now. We're going to do our best to try to keep it, you know,
Yeah, if there
pretty
were trades
streamlined.
that happened or anything like that, we'll just talk about it when we get to one of the two teams rather than just regurgitating it for both.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like for this team, Orlando Magic, they re-signed Mo Wagner to a 1 year, $5 million deal with a no trade clause. We kind of mentioned this, you know, he what last pod I think that he was a free agent, but he was probably going, or he had denied his player option, or I think that's what it was. But odds are pretty high that he was going to sign back onto the Magic, which proves true. So
Yeah,
he's
I think they
back.
declined his team option or something like that.
Thank you. And then similarly, also the Brooklyn Nets, they
With a
re-signed
no trade
Day'Ron
clause.
with a no trade. Yeah. So
No, he's like the 10th player in NBA history to have that.
yeah, I know that's what it's really becoming more of a thing now. No trade clauses because I also saw I need to double check. I'll mention this later actually,
Okay.
because it's about someone else. But the
Okay.
Brooklyn Nets they re-signed Day'Ron Sharp and Zaire Williams to a 2 year, $12 million deal. It's good deal. They've been on the Nets already a few years now. They're good players. I think that's a good value for them. 2 years is not too long, and 6 million a year is pretty good. I think they're still trying to figure out what direction they're going. They just drafted five guys.
I
So
don't know what's going on over there.
yeah, and, you know, the good news is that they did make some other moves, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, which I think kind of solidifies, okay, you're going this route, at least seemingly. Miami Heat, they re-signed one of my favorite guards in the league, Davion Mitchell. They brought him back 2 years, $24 million deal.
Off
Davion
night.
off night. Davion Mitchell was shooting like Ray Allen in the play-in. He was going crazy. So you know, I love. He had a really, you know, he was really good on the Raptors. But they included him in the trade for um, I'm forgetting. How did he end up on the
Um,
he
how did he end up on the Heat? That's a great question.
was he
It's
part of the
also
Jimmy
escaping my
Butler
brain.
trade?
Well, he was on the Kings. I don't know what the Kings and Heat traded. I have no
No,
clue
he was on the
how.
Raptors.
He was on the Raptors. You're so right. I forgot he
Yeah.
got traded from the Kings to the Raptors. Yeah, he was. It was part of the Jimmy Butler trade because they sent him there and they sent Kyle Anderson there. I don't know.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
it
like
was
a
a whole
three-team deal.
right, yeah. Anyway, so he's on the Heat, but he did really well once he got onto the Heat. I would say probably the gem of that whole trade because they got Kyle Anderson, Andrew
I would
Wiggins,
say
and
the gem of that whole
Davion.
trade was Jimmy Butler, but that's just me.
Well, the trade for for the
I'm
Heat,
just,
like what the Heat got out
I'm
of it.
just,
Thanks,
I'm
the
just
gym.
kidding.
Do you mean the
Yeah,
gym because his name's Jim, like Jimmy
that's
Butler?
exactly what I meant.
Ah, hey man, that's a good one.
Thank you.
Hey, I didn't get it right away. You got me. But I like this a lot for Davion Mitchell. I think that's really good value for him. I think he will he's playing in a bigger market now. I think more people will see how good he is. If his shot stays consistent, because I think I'm not gonna just say a number. I don't know how well he shot from three, but he was doing it a lot better than he was when he was on the Kings a few years
Yeah,
ago.
for
So if
sure.
he's able to keep it league average or a little bit more, he is going to be very valuable because he can handle the ball. Kind of reminds me of a
40%
Drew
last year.
40%. He kind of reminds me of a Drew Holiday because he is a guard, kind of undersized, but he's an incredible defender.
Yeah.
And like I said, can handle the ball, and if he can shoot the three, I mean, great value for him. I hope he enjoys being there on the Heat.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Another signing. Also, are we going to talk about at the end kind of how we feel if it's good or bad, or how do you want to do it, or just how we feel in the moment?
I was just gonna go over it all and then say like, point out a couple winners, losers.
Mm.
I feel like a lot of these teams, it's not super worth talking about. Like, are the Nets winners for re-signing two of their players?
No, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Spurs they stole Luke Cornett, Hakeem Olajuwon game four in the I forget who they were playing. Is it the Knicks?
The
And he
Knicks, I
was
think.
yeah
Yeah.
he was just blocking like crazy. 4 year, $41 million deal onto the Spurs. So yeah, 4 years is long time, but congratulations for Luke getting his bag. He did a great job showcasing what he can do in the playoffs when Porzingis was out and Al Horford needed a breather. So I like it for the Spurs. We'll talk more about like winners, losers later, but I like the signing in general.
Yeah. No more Charles Bassey minutes,
And you
perhaps.
know what? That's okay. The Cavaliers, they re-signed Sam Merrill to a 4 year, $38 million deal, Summer League legend.
Oh yeah.
So
So I love that we went to one summer league. So now every player that I see from that one summer league, I'm like, yes, I love this guy because I watched him
No,
play
it's like
when he
I
was
was there.
nothing.
I was 5 rows away from him. Yeah, no, I like this for Sam Merrill, and we're gonna talk a little bit about like there's some players the Cavaliers lost. I think there's a lot of talk about like why they signed Sam Merrill to this contract when they could have kind of maybe tried to split up the money to keep other people around. I like it. I like it for Sam. I think it's a great deal. 4 years again, like you get that for sure. I'm going to get this money. So
Hmm.
he gets his bag, and he was a good shooter, and he plays minutes, and he's a good rotation player for the Cavs. So
Yeah, I think
um,
they what you're alluding to. I think they assumed that Ty Jerome would get more money than he ended up getting.
yeah,
So they probably I think they kind of already factored in that they were going to lose him, um, which didn't have to be the case. So
yeah. Do you want us flip flop now, or should I keep going? It's up to you.
you're cooking, man. You're cooking.
Okay.
I talked a
So
long
the
time about free agents
I
or
know,
about
I
draft.
know. I
So
was like, I want to. Yeah. So another summer league legend, the Utah
another
Jazz
legend.
waived Johnny Juzang. If I remember correctly, we watched him play roulette. So roulette legend from summer league Johnny
Yeah,
Juzang
yeah, yeah.
has been waived. Curious to see if he gets picked up, where he might go. John Collins opted into his $26.5 million player option, which makes sense because he'd probably earn a little bit less
It's a lot of money.
money. Yeah, it's a lot of money. He'd earn less if he signed somewhere, and he had an underrated, really good season. So I'm
He
very
did.
interested to see what the Jazz do. He doesn't really fit their timeline, I think. But
John Collins, perennial get traded at or in trade rumors guy.
yeah,
I think he's
I
been in
mean,
trade rumors his entire career.
yeah, it's absolutely crazy. But if he stays in the with Utah, I hope they use him well. He's just getting doesn't fit like this younger timeline like Keontae George and Ace Bailey, if that's what they want to do. Walker Kessler, although Walker Kessler is also in trade rumors, which is
Yeah,
bananas because he's so young. I don't get it. Like that's literally what all the Lakers people are talking about. How are we gonna get Walker Kessler? Why would they give him up? Anyways,
yeah.
that's I'm gonna talk about the Lake. Don't worry, I'm gonna get to the Lakers. The Sacramento Kings signed Drew Eubanks to a 1 year deal. Um, I like it because they traded someone else, which was a mistake, but at least they got a backup center. I have to let my opinion be known. I can't just state facts like this.
That's fair.
Um, and then they signed Dennis Schroeder to a 3 year, $45 million deal. I think you and I agree. We love Dennis. I think Dennis Schroeder's a phenomenal basketball
Yeah,
player. He
bad for the
thinks
Pistons.
that yeah, and he thinks that the NBA is modern slavery, but we disagree. But he's a good basketball player. And
Um,
I like him on the Kings. They lose the Aaron Fox. They don't really have like a point guard. Keon Ellis is probably the closest. They got Malik Monk, but he's kind of been like their bench guy. Um, they are a team also. I really don't know what they're trying to do.
I was about to say I don't know what is going on in
Yeah,
Sacramento. There,
yeah,
it's not looking too good over there.
yeah, I really I would love to just like talk and dissect them, but it would take me 4.5 hours to try and do that.
Yeah, I feel
Um
like as we get to some of these teams that made a lot of moves, maybe we can start breaking it down a little more. Like at first, there's just a lot of teams making small moves that didn't really
yeah.
need a lot, but
No,
Yeah, I
I
don't know
agree.
what's going on with the Kings.
Yeah, that's just kind of the general consensus is what are you?
They're about to be back in
76.
the 15 years of missing the playoffs again.
I I hope not. Just at least get Sabonis out of there, please, if that's the case. 76ers, they signed Jabari Walker to a two-way deal.
You know who that
Uh,
is?
I was gonna say I was thinking Jabari Parker, who's no longer in the league. Who's
Nope.
Jabari Walker?
He was in the Blazers summer league when we went to that summer league too.
Was
So
he really sick?
yeah,
Summer League legend. They signed Trenton Watford to a 2-year, $5.3 million deal. He was on the Nets.
he was
Now
on the
he's on the
Nets.
Sixers.
Used to be on the Blazers too. I like that guy.
Did he really? I did not know that part. Andre Drummond opted into his $5 million player option, which is crazy to me because Andre Drummond is probably one of the best centers in the league, and he complained about this like last year. I think
One of
that
the
like
best centers in the league. Yeah, full stop right there.
okay, hold up. What I mean by that is that he's a rebounding machine. He's better than a lot
That
of
is true.
starting centers. Sorry,
He's
he's better than a lot of other starting centers. He's not one of the best
like
centers.
Jokic, Embiid,
Eat
Drummond.
Drummond. Drummond is definitely top half. He's top half.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I kind of meant to say because he has a very good skill set. He's very good at what he does. Okay,
Yeah.
and there was a time when he was worth like 20 million, and now he's
Yeah.
like picking at scraps, like and like that's what he talked about. And I think it is just crazy to see a player like that fall. But I
hmm
like him a lot as a backup on the 76ers. If they keep him around, if Joel Embiid plays, which is a
Right.
very big if. And then Kelly Oubre also opted into his $8.4 million player option, one of the few bright spots on the 76ers. So, I think the 76ers probably look at last season as, hey, yo, that didn't count. Let's bring it back. Yo, that last season didn't count. We got VJ Edgecombe. We got the top three pick. Now
Right.
this season's where we're gonna like everyone's gonna be healthy. Now we're gonna make our run for the championship. And like I honestly really hope so because I
The
feel
East is looking
terrible.
pretty open.
Yeah, and also we gave them like an A+ on their
On their
offseason
offseason
last year
last year.
because it
Yeah.
was really good in hindsight. Or sorry, really good at the time. In
Right.
hindsight, ugh. But who would have thought the people that always get injured would always get injured again? That's crazy. But anyways, I don't know. What do
Damn.
you damn, that's crazy. But besides that, 76ers are pretty stand pat. Like they didn't really like change too much.
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough to like I wouldn't really judge.
No,
Okay,
I
yeah.
mean you just gotta hope for health.
Uh-huh.
You see injuries like the Celtics and the Pacers both missing their best players. You see how the Cavs have looked in the playoffs, how they've been eliminated. And you probably think to yourself, this is doable. Yeah, we can get to the conference
Mhm.
finals at the very least, which they haven't been to in the Joel Embiid era. So, hopefully you get playoff P instead of pandemic P. We'll see.
What he said. Yeah, I really want this to be a good season for because you're gonna have Jared McCain back, Tyrese Maxey's still there, and all these guys are hopefully healthy. So let's continue. We're gonna move on to the Charlotte Hornets, who re-signed a legend, Mason Plumlee. Welcome back to Charlotte. 1 year, $3.6 million deal. Is he their starting center? Let's talk about it.
Probably, maybe,
Yes.
he
Yeah,
might
yeah,
be.
I think he is. Okay, let's talk about it. LaMelo Ball,
uh,
Brandon Williams,
nope, that's not his name.
Brandon Miller. Who's Brandon Williams? Brandon Miller.
There's a guy in the Mavericks named Brandon Williams.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought that. Who else am I missing from the Hornets?
Domestic abuser.
Oh my God, of course, Miles Bridges. Jesus. Who else is on there?
I don't know who
I don't
they start aside from those three, if I'm
Oh,
missing
okay. Let me. I just realized they did more moves. Let me talk
it.
about those. They
Sure.
signed Spencer Dinwiddie to a 1-year deal. Interesting because he's only really been, I think, a good rotation player on the Mavericks. So we'll see
And
how
the
he does.
Nets,
That was more fun, but
Nets
yeah,
legend.
Nets legend, of course. Never forget.
He was on the
Um,
Mavs and Nets like twice in his
yeah, I
career.
know. I was gonna
Two stints with
say.
both.
Yeah.
Wild.
So they get Spencer Dinwiddie coming off the bench. I like that. A little older, it's fine. They re-signed Trey Mann to a 3-year, $24 million deal. And then they traded Yusuf Nurkic to the Jazz for Colin Sexton and a 2030 second round pick. Um,
I love Colin Sexton.
I like Colin Sexton a lot, but you already have a lot of
I don't know
guards.
how he plays. I don't know where he plays in
I
this
know
team.
that's my, and also like I'm glad. Hey, congrats, you got rid of Yusuf Nurkic. I don't know why the Jazz got him. Like, what the heck are they? Or are they gonna play him over Walker Kessler? I fucking
No,
hope not. I
he could
really
be
hope not.
he could be the backup center.
He's not a bad backup center, but God, they better not start him over Walker Kessler. God damn, that'd be disgusting, man. Um, I never want
Yeah.
to see Keontae George and Yusuf Nurkic on the court together.
The duo you didn't know you needed.
I never wanted to need. I never wanted to
Yeah.
need it.
I wonder if
Um,
Colin Sexton will start.
yeah, I was gonna say like maybe it'd be LaMelo, Colin Sexton, Brandon Miller, Miles Bridges, and Mason Plumlee. I mean, there's a link. There's a weakest link in that
Uh,
story. I'm not gonna tell you where, but it's somewhere. It's somewhere there.
Trey Mann could start if I know he's not healthy right now. I think he had a bad injury to end his season last year. Um, yeah, I feel like there's someone I'm forgetting, but it's the Hornets, so they're pretty forgettable.
Yeah, I think I'm forgetting someone too. Con Knipple, but he'll probably just come off the bench.
Yeah,
But yeah, I always want the Horn. In all honesty, and in full, just
yeah.
being honest,
Be real here.
I want the Horns to be good. I
Except
do.
LaMelo Ball.
Except Miles Bridges. That's yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's
real. LaMelo
fair.
Ball I can forgive because at least he's not a convicted abuser, or it was still out of court, whatever. At least he hasn't been taken to court for being an abuser. So
Right.
uh, they can get rid of him at any point. LaMelo, he's still young. I have hope that he doesn't he's not as arrogant. Like you can get arrogant when you start winning. But I do want the Hornets to be good. Like it's crazy how they've never like the closest I think I've ever seen them was like right after the pandemic they made it in the play or before the play and they're like the eighth seed and they got swept or something. You know what I mean? Like I don't even remember if they made the playoffs. Probably just the play in and they got out. But anywho, I want them to be good. I want them to be successful because they're a franchise that has never ever been successful. So that's just me and my thoughts on the Hornets. Do you like the deal for Trey Mann? 3 years, 24 million?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he looked pretty good last year for them, especially at the
Okay.
start of the year before he got injured. So,
Mm.
and I was thinking about a lot of these deals because we're going to get to some pretty high numbers later.
Yeah.
With the CBA and salary cap increase, like 18 million is about to be like the MLE.
Yeah.
Like the deals are just going up.
It's blowing my mind.
So,
Yeah, like because mid-level exception a few years ago was 10 million.
yeah.
And now it's like almost twice that. So it's kind of crazy. Let's talk about the Raptors. We kind of mentioned them earlier with the draft. So, and we mentioned this as well. So Masai Ujiri was let go as the team president before free agency began. He's the guy who put together the 2019 championship team. He's been there for a lot of years. He loves his
Bought him a lot of
wings.
time there.
A big wing guy. I don't think they have found a team president replacement just yet. Uh, but they still did moves. So they re-signed Garrett Temple to a 1-year, $3.6 million deal. I forgot
Garrett
he
Temple
was
is
on the
so
league.
old.
Yeah, he to me he's like a Jeremy Lamb or a he's just been to me he's always been like on every team and he's old.
He's been
Like
on a
Jeff
lot of
Green.
teams. He's
Yeah.
38,
Damn.
39. He's
Damn.
39.
Oh my God. Hey, just let the man go. Let the man God. He's probably like a locker room guy, I guess, but
I was gonna say, can you name every team Garrett Temple's on? There's no way. There's
there's no
absolutely no
absolutely
way you
no way. I would just start
could.
naming every team in the NBA and eventually I'd get there.
Give me a number. How many teams do you think he's been on?
I'm gonna say there's 30 teams in the league. I'm gonna say he's been on 12.
12 exactly. Wow.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, 12. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
The longest team he's been on is the Wizards. That's
for
sad.
like 2 years.
For 4 years.
Oh,
Actually, the teams she's been on are really sad. The Wizards, the Kings for 3 years, the Pelicans for 2 years, the Raptors for 2 years, Spurs for 2 years when they weren't very good, I think.
yeah, I
Um,
think a lot of these were because yeah, all these teams weren't very good. But
uh,
20 years ago.
Nets, Bulls, Grizzlies, Clippers, Hornets, Rockets. He was on the Rockets
What
his
the?
rookie year. His rookie year, he was on the Rockets, the Kings, and the Spurs. In his rookie year, he was on
He was always meant to be a journeyman. There's no way he was ever meant to be anything else.
and the Bucks he was also on for a year.
That's
So
crazy.
he's been on a lot of teams.
The Raptors also signed Sandro Mamukelashvili to a 2-year, $5.5 million deal. Do you want to try to say his last name right?
Mamu Kelashvili.
To me, we sounded the exact same when we
Yeah,
said it.
probably.
Hey, Sandro.
Spurs legend.
Yeah, it was so funny because before this happened, I saw the Spurs posting like because this guy for some reason has been a Spurs fan like his whole life, and he was like had like a Tim Duncan jersey when he was a kid. He was wearing Spurs shirt. Like they made a whole compilation, and they're like, "Oh, he just signed away to a to the Raptors." I was like, "That's crazy." I thought he's been like a Spurs fan. That's crazy. Anyways,
Dude, he scored like
um,
in a game last year. He scored like 36.
I know, crazy man.
Random.
And then let's talk about this. So the Raptors signed Jakob Poeltl, re-signed, I guess, Jakob Poeltl to a 4-year, $104 million extension. So that is a $21 million a year player now. What do you think?
I like Jakob Poeltl. It's a lot of money for Jakob Poeltl for a team that I don't think is going to be very good. For a team that could have drafted Kamal Malawach instead of doing this extension. That's how I feel.
I feel that Jakob Poeltl, I think 4 years is a long contract. I
Hmm.
look at this as a tradable asset. I think
Hmm.
they do this because they want to trade for someone younger, and he is very desirable. Jakob Poeltl is a very good center, as we talked about. Probably higher than Andre Drummond, who was mentioned earlier,
Uh,
to ridicule from my
top three center in
co-host.
the league, Andre Drummond.
I'm kidding. But yeah, it's a lot. I think he's more in the like $18 million range, maybe a little less. But especially for the Raptors, it's weird because it's like you're kind of rebuilding. Why are you resigning old people? And then, sorry, not old people. He's not old. He's resigning Garrett Temple, which whatever locker room. Resigning
Sure.
Jakob Poeltl, uh, kind of past his prime. I don't know how to describe it. He's not like he doesn't fit the timeline I think the Raptors want. But then they also go get Brandon Ingram, so it's but he's a wing, so it makes a bit sense. But um, yeah, I think Jakob Poeltl will be on a different team during this 4-year stretch at some point.
I did hear a thing the other day about how the Raptors usually overpay people because no one wants to live in Canada. Um, which I guess is
Oh,
fair. So like, Brandon Ingram's on a huge extension and he hasn't even played a single game for them because he was injured when he got traded there. Emmanuel Quickly they signed. He's making like $34 million a year, which is a lot for Emmanuel Quickly.
yeah.
Um, so maybe that's part of it.
That's
I don't know.
interesting. What if these are Canadian dollars? Their size
Mm.
is 104 because that's actually that would
We
104 million
we have to go
Canadian
in there
dollars
and
would be like 90 American million dollars. 90 million American dollars. American $90 million.
we gotta go in there and do the conversions ourselves.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, $104 million in Canadian would be, I'm gonna say like 88 American.
I- In Canadian is awesome.
What?
You said like a number, and then you said in Canadian.
Dude, I'm losing my head talking about these
He's
currencies.
crashing out over there.
Dude, I'm going crazy. Oh, I thought we were gonna look it up. Never mind. Let's continue on.
No.
Yeah, I know. That's not that. Hey, I'm keeping it a buck. The joke's over. Anyways, so the Timberwolves, Glenn Taylor. Where are my millions? Are my
The Timber's not there
billions?
anymore. You got to get over him.
I can't get over him. He was such a good bit. So the Timberwolves, they re-signed Joe Ingles to a 1 year, $3.6 million deal. Cool, fine. 54-year-old Joe Ingles, cool.
He does feel like someone that's so
Yeah,
old.
he also doesn't, he kind of looks like it. So he
Yeah,
looks,
yeah,
yeah. So, and they re-signed Julius Randle to a 3 year, $100 million deal. Um, what were your thoughts when you read this?
yeah. I mean, he had a really good playoff run for them. I think originally we mentioned that trading for him, I think, was probably going to be a move to just not have him return to the team the following year and free up that cap. But he turned out to be a really good player for them. And you know, thinking back to the cat trade, which I know we both didn't like at the time, having Julius Randle for what he did in the playoffs for 33 or so million a year, I can see the value in winning that instead of Cat, who's making like $50 million a year over on the Knicks right now. So I think it's good. I think it's a good signing for them.
I mean, I don't think it's a secret. You and I both both like Cat more as a player,
Hmm.
obvious, I think. But sometimes basketball is not about who you like. It's about how you make work with the money you have. And I think, yeah, with Julius Randle and again Dante DiVincenzo, I think he's a very big part of that too. I know his three ball fell off during the playoffs, but he was very good during the regular season, and still played defense really well throughout the playoffs. So, in retrospective, it's not a bad deal. I think Julius Randle will kind of always be on the trade block in Minnesota, just because they have their guys. They love Jaden McDaniels. They love Anthony Edwards. They love Naz Reid. They don't love Rudy Gobert as much, but considering how much they gave up for him, they have to double down. So I kind of feel like he will kind of be just perpetually available. But again, like they did really well. They went all really far in the playoffs. Unfortunately, they lost to the eventual NBA champions. So,
Hmm.
it happens. But yeah, I think 33 million is a good deal for him. And 3 years it's not too long, not too short for it to be, too strange.
Worth mentioning with him, as well as the deal you're about to mention, a guy I didn't put in the draft thing. They drafted Joan, I don't know, Berenger, another French guy, who is a center. Um,
Mm.
so they drafted him at 17. I think it was a best player available kind of thing. But they, of course, have Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, uh, and this guy.
Naz Reid declined his $15 million player option to sign a 5 year, $125 million deal with the player option. My God, 5 years, long contract, 125 million, 25 million a year.
Yep.
Uh, Super great. So love this for the Timberwolves. Love it for Naz Reid. He gets his money. He's gonna be there for 5 years at least. He's gonna get this money. I honestly kind of think he's probably worth a little bit more, but I like that. I think with the length of the deal, this is a good value for him. What do you think?
It's a good value. My question becomes, do you want to pay $25 million to a guy that comes off the bench? Um, I guess their answer is yes.
Yeah, I think yeah, I don't know. If you find a way, if they find a way to trade Rudy Gobert, is Naz Reid starting center, you think?
Yeah, I feel like they wouldn't really have a choice. Like they'd have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. So I
Um,
feel like, that is always a possibility. But I think they couldn't I really think if they didn't give him this, someone else would.
hmm,
You know what
that's
I
fair.
mean? What do you was he an unrestricted free agent or restricted free agent?
I think he was unrestricted because he was a second round pick, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, he was okay. Gotcha. So yeah, I think so. He would have got the money from somewhere. So I'm glad that he's sticking around. And uh, m- with the
How
cat
is
being off the
Nas Reed getting
books,
it to the Lakers?
I mean, I'm someone. If I was in Minnesota, I would have gotten a Nas Reed tattoo when they went to the Western Conference Finals when they were offering it for like only $100.
Yeah, it would have been very sad if you got rid of that guy after.
Yeah,
Like
after like
he
all
has
your
to be
fans are
a
tattooed
Wolves
on.
lifer now.
Yeah, I would love that though. Anywho, yeah, Timberwolves didn't have a lot of leeway. They didn't really sign anyone else. They lost someone that we'll talk about in a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, but besides that, they're kind of running it back. We'll see what else they do in free agency. Pelicans, let's talk about it. They signed. This actually might be the saddest news
This is the saddest
to
one.
me.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is a lifer right here.
I know they signed Kevon Looney to a 2-year, $16 million deal. What? I triple taked when I read this. I was like, what? I was like, it's gonna be someone else, Kevin Lonnie. It's not Kevin Looney. There's no way. Yeah, Kevon Looney is no longer a Golden State Warrior. He is on the Pelicans.
Sad,
Uh,
sad,
what do
sad,
you
sad.
what do you think of the contract? 2 years, 16 million.
That's good. Good, get him out. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be, if this were 3 years, 48 million, I'd be like, that's good. I like Kevon Looney.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's a great. Is he
8
is he
million's good.
is he starting on the Pelicans?
Yeah, probably,
And then
probably.
okay, so that spacing with Zion and Kevon Looney is going to be
Great, great
amazing.
spacing.
Beautiful, love that.
Um,
Yves Missi off
I,
the bench is pretty
I
good.
guess you could start Eves Missy if you want to. It's up to you. And now Derek Queen pushed down the rotation after trading up to get him at pick 13.
Strange.
Yay.
Yeah. Let's talk about the bigger trade that happened. I think right before the free agency kind of kicked off. They traded CJ McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second round pick to the Wizards for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and pick number 40 in this year's draft. So CJ McCollum and Kelly Olynyk are now Washington Wizards.
The Wizards have a hodgepodge veteran random guys over there.
They have a lot of random guys that are still pretty good NBA players, and they have really
Yeah.
young guys who are like, I don't know what you are yet. So it's very interesting. I okay. What are your thoughts first?
I think it's a good trade for the Pelicans. I like CJ McCollum. He's low 30s, mid 30s, getting up there in age. Kelly Olynyk, I feel like has been traded 6 times since we've started this podcast. Uh, but we both love Kelly Olynyk.
We
We love him.
do.
We love him. But Jordan Poole, I think, had a better season in Washington than most people probably realize because no one's watching the Wizards. And his first season was like such a disaster. I feels like that kind of overshadows it a lot. I really like Sadiq Bey, always have. I know he was coming off like an ACL, so I don't think he played last year. Um, so I like those additions to the Pelicans. They're younger. They fit the Pelicans' timeline. I think it does complicate a little bit what's going on with their team because now you have Jordan Poole, DeJounte Murray as kind of your lead guards, I guess. But you still have Jose Alvarado and people like that coming off your bench. Um, Sadiq Bey, I think, is a good addition to the wing rotation of like Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, those guys. Zion is always going to be a question mark, but there's nothing you can really do about that. And then they have a couple centers now. It's an interesting team. I don't know how well it works together. Jordan Poole, Kevon Looney reunited, huge. Um, but I like the talent. It seems fine on paper, as the Pelicans often do. Um, but come season time, what does that actually look like? I don't know. And who works it? Like, I can't tell what's going to work for this team in terms of like their lineup combinations. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things that I like as individuals, but in terms of a team perspective, I'm not exactly sure what it's going to look like. So, it's a wait and see, as it often is for the Pelicans.
Yeah. I also liked it for the Pelicans. I like your I think we can agree CJ McCollum is a better NBA player, but Jordan Poole is younger and he can still like do what needs to be done. Like he won a championship for a reason with the Warriors. Like I think with a little bit of I like Willie Green as a coach. I think he'll kind of like do a good job of trying to get him to play within that system. It is a lot of question marks. Like the defense is questionable, of course, but as long as you have Trey Murphy there, you have Herb Jones. You can't have them on the court because you can play them together, but then your scoring might suffer. So, it's a lot of like combinations you kind of have to play with there. Hopefully Zion is healthy. It's his birthday. I think it's today or yesterday. So happy birthday,
Why would
Zion.
I know that?
Because you love Zion Williamson. You tell me all the time how much you love
Mm,
him. No, I think this morning on Instagram. They're just like, "Happy birthday, Zion." I was like, "Cool, now
Hmm.
play at least 70 games this season. Now play at
Ooh,
least 70 games this season."
70 is a lot.
I
I
know,
don't
I know.
I don't know about
I'm
that.
just hoping. Yeah, the Wizards, weird. Weird.
A
What else do I say
lot of
about it?
things they
They
do
got
and have done are weird,
Marcus
clearly.
Smart, CJ McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, Chris Middleton. It's like, what is this team? But I like it for the Pelicans. Every year, I want the Pelicans to be good. I think it's just because South, the South, they're near Texas. I
The
kind of
South.
like New Orleans, the South. And also, they have great city jerseys. Let's hope that continues. We'll talk about that later.
The bold
Um,
pelican.
but that's the Pelicans. Let's go on to the Clippers, our favorite team of all
Your
time.
favorite LA team
My
specifically.
favorite. Why did I just blank out how to say his name? Nike. What the heck is happening to my brain? Nico Batum declined his $4.9 million player option to sign a 2-year, $11.5 million deal. Makes sense. I mean, instead of 1 year, you're guaranteed now 2 years. So getting a little older, but he was still very good last year for them. He plays his best on the Clippers for whatever reason. They
Yeah, I don't know.
signed.
He's a different guy over there.
Yeah, it's insane. They Clippers signed Brooke Lopez to a 2-year, $18 million deal. So Brooke Lopez no longer a Buck, no
Yeah.
longer a Milwaukee Buck. How
Don't
do
worry,
you?
they replaced him, I think.
I think so too. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, I mean it's good. It's good for Brooke Lopez, I think. Getting out of Milwaukee. I feel like change of scenery is probably needed. But I also think it's good for the Clippers because for what feels like forever, I feel like Zubac has been the only playable center on that team. And they have kind of resorted to a lot of Nico Batum or whomever at kind of a small ball five kind of lineup, which can work at times, but you don't want it to be like your go-to reliable lineup. So Brook Lopez, I think what he will do, he is a little older. I think he will defend the interior like Zubac does, which is good. So their defensive identity doesn't change much, but he also does add a stretch element to offense as well. So you can still get kind of that five out lineup that you want when you're running small ball, but you can still have the defensive identity there too. He's going to be a little slow on his feet because he's older, so defending on the perimeter and stuff like that might be a little bit of a challenge. Uh, but yeah, I think it's a good backup center for Zubac especially and for the Clippers.
Yeah, I like this a lot for the Clippers. I think the value is really good. I think 2 years is a perfect amount. Don't You got to be a little careful about offering more than 2 years with someone as old. Um, Kind of wish some different teams went for him. We'll
Such
talk
as,
about that. We'll talk about that later.
oh, okay,
Yeah. No. But I like this for Brooke. I like it for the Clippers. And then in addition, James Harden declined his $36 million player option to sign a 2-year, $81.5 million deal. So a little bit more than he would have got if he opted in. I think
hmm
2 years is a good deal for him. I think $81.5 million. If you told me last year this would happen, I would be like, you're crazy. But
yeah.
he did have a very good season last year, although he choked in the playoffs like he always does. Um,
James
so I
Harden
had to
hater.
say it. No, hey, come on, man. I'm being very rational right now. I'm just stating facts. But I like this for the Clippers. I think him and Kawhi have been playing very well together, especially when they're healthy and both playing on the court together. So I like it for them. I mean, what are they gonna do? Let him go? Trade him again? He's gonna force his way out again, you know? What do you think?
No, it's good. Yeah, I mean he got All NBA, which I don't think either of us would have had him on our teams. In fact, we didn't when we did our unofficial All NBA votes. Give us a vote, Adam Silver. Um, but he was a good player. He was the offense for them a lot of times, especially when Kawhi was out. So I think this is deserved. I feel like the last 3 years of his career have been like I really would need to get the money that I deserve, and now this feels like yeah, it's a short deal, but um, he got some money. So
Yeah,
congratulations.
yeah. I think it's totally good for him, and I think he's found a home with the Clippers. So uh,
Finally,
finally, jeez. Let's talk about the other LA team that no one likes.
especially you.
Especially me. I definitely did just buy a shirt that says this team. Lakers. What did the Lakers do? Let's talk about it. I'm going to go in chronological order because I think it's very important. So I'm going to go in a
Okay,
little bit order, a little bit different order that's on these notes.
that's fine. You do you, man.
LeBron James opted into his $52.6 million player option.
Yeah,
Let's
that
talk
usually
about
doesn't
it.
happen, right?
No.
Doesn't he usually decline and then sign a 1+1?
Yes.
Yeah,
This is the third time with the Lakers. I think that this has happened where it's kind of time to decide you opt in or opt out.
right.
And each time he has opted out and then signed a little bit less. I think last time it was his player option was like 52, and then he ended up signing like a 47 million. You know what I mean? It's like a couple million shaved off the top
Yeah,
because they couldn't get the people they wanted last season. But instead, he opts in, and this caused a lot of people to talk. Does he want to get traded? Does he want to
yeah.
stay? And I think to me, what I as a fan who's been following this team and LeBron for a couple years now, I think he was just like, I'm tired of saying I'll take a pay cut. I'm just going to get the money that I think I deserve. Which I don't love as a fan, but I think in his, on his team, on his like agency team and whatever his fame. I think it makes sense. It's hard to defend millionaires when I barely am able to pay rent. So,
What about a billionaire?
oh yeah, he's a billionaire now. It's even harder to defend billionaires when
Yeah,
I can barely pay my rent. But I as a fan, I don't like it because then it really limited a bit of our options of what we were able to do. Um, do you have an opinion about the player option?
I just think, well, the other part that's interesting too is that means next year he's just a total free agent. There is no control or anything like that. No option. It's just he's out in the market.
Yeah.
How do you feel
Um,
about him being at the Cleveland Cavaliers practice facility? You
I
see
did
this?
hear about that. Yeah. He's just home visiting family, man. Okay.
He just
But
says
here's but here
he's just said I spend my summers here because I still have a house here, and I said, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. But here's the thing. Cavaliers, if you want to offer me Jared Allen, Darius Garland,
I was gonna say it.
perhaps a Sam Merrill, whatever fills in that kind of like good shooter in there.
You're going with. There's no way they would offer this much for 40-year-old LeBron. Darius
Oh,
Garland for LeBron. Who says no?
both teams.
Sure.
Both teams. I just want Jared Allen on my team. Oh, I want Jared Allen on my
I'm
team.
sure you want Ace on your team.
What do you mean? We re-signed Jackson Hayes to a one-year deal. Yeah,
Yeah, you
we
sure
re-signed
did, didn't
Jackson
you?
Hayes. And you know what? Jackson Hayes as a backup is fine. As a
Yeah.
backup, he is good. Thankfully, we addressed our starting center problem. We signed DeAndre Ayton to a 2-year deal with the player option. I believe it was like 36 million. So he's like getting 18 million a year, plus on top what the Blazers are paying him
Okay,
because
I need to know
he
this.
was
Yeah, because I
waived.
didn't. Are you sure that doesn't include what he's already making from the Blazers?
It doesn't. So
He's
so
making 18 million?
Yeah. So no. So he's making 18 million, and on top of that, he's actually earning about 40 million a year because the Blazers are still paying him.
The Lakers paid him 18 million.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I have to
You had
double
18
check.
million to pay him?
You want to talk about it, and then I'll find
I
out the exact number
was like,
because
that's way more than I would have thought. Um,
wait, tell me your thoughts because I'm going to find this out real quick.
yeah, very interesting for him to get bought out by the Blazers. It just seems like him and Nurkic, they both got traded for each other basically. They're just flying around the league left and right. Just no one wants them on their team. I like DeAndre Ayton. No, I don't. I don't like DeAndre Ayton. I lied. The motor's a question. That's always been the big question. You know, will he show up and have a motor for the Lakers? We'll see. It's interesting. I mean, I like the Blazers buying him out because they have Klingon, and they drafted Young Hansen, who they really like. So this frees up minutes for those guys. The Lakers, I think that. I mean, it's better than Jackson Hayes. I can say that with confidence. And I think. DeAndre Ayton has the tools, as he often has had throughout his career, to be a great pick and roll center, lob threat center, with Luka especially as the primary ball handler. The issue is that he wants to be like a back to the basket shoot post hook center, which the Lakers don't really need. And not a lot of teams need in the NBA unless you're Nikola Jokic, basically. So um, hopefully he can buy into a role. Maybe LeBron is the guy that can get him to do that, um, or Luca, or whomever. We'll see.
So I got more details. So it's a 2-year deal with the Lakers between Portland and LA. Ayton will earn 34 million next season. So that's all together. So I
Hmm.
think it was a 2-year, $16 million deal with the Lakers, and then so it's 8
That
million
makes
each.
that makes more sense.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah. So as the Lakers fan, let's talk about this.
Tell me
Well,
your thoughts,
let's
Lakers fan.
And let me just say the last we signed Jake LaRavia to a 2-year, $12 million deal. So that's all of our offseason moves. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, Jake LaRavia, let's go.
The Lakers are losers. The Lakers lose this. Okay. There's a couple things that happened that
Lost DFS.
we lost Dorian Finney-Smith, and I really, really liked Dorian Finney-Smith on the Lakers. And we
You know who
lost
else
him,
likes him?
the Rockets, Luca. Yeah.
Luke.
Well, you now. No, I'm kidding. We
And
always
also
liked him.
me. That's true.
Yeah, we what I was hearing is that the Lakers didn't want to sign him to a deal more than or they didn't want to sign more than 3-year deal, but Dorian wanted at least four. And we just could not come to an agreement. I think the reason why the Lakers didn't want to is because I think Luca's contract, they wanted all our contracts to kind of end around the same time, so we'll have money in off
Hmm.
season. Didn't want like Dorian to be on the books when like we're trying to pay Luca basically.
Smart.
Um, so that's why they didn't offer him a 4-year deal. But if what did they talk about a 4-year deal? What did he get with the Rockets? 40, where
Yeah,
is
like
this?
4 years, 48 or something like that. 43
Where is it? Oh, 4 years,
or
53 million.
53.
So
Yeah.
it's a little it's okay. So it's a little bit more than we so his player option was 17 million. So it's been 1 year, 17 million.
Hmm.
Opted out. So now he's getting about like 12, about a little bit more than 12. We could
Sure.
have offered him that 3 years, but we were just so or no, no, sorry, 4 years, but we were just so obsessed with about we're too concerned with 3 years from now. And here's the
Yeah,
thing with LeBron on the team, keep people around, pay people that are going to help us win now. Come on, get over it. You know what I mean? Like when the problem comes 3 years down the line, we will deal with it. And if we have a championship, then it's not going to matter as much. But now
sure.
our odds are way lower with Jake LaRavia and DeAndre Ayton. It's just true,
Hey man, I like
you
Jake
know?
LaRavia.
I like Jake Larivia a lot, but as a replacement for Dorian Finney-Smith, it's not gonna bode well. It's not gonna
Big shoes to fill.
exactly. Um, so there was just so much talk. Aiton is not the guy we needed. Like I'm having so many of like our friends, like Soul's reaching like we got Aiden, we're good. I'm like, no, we're not. We are. I think we're definitely worse. I
Yeah.
think. And which is crazy to say, but I think it's just our wing, like we're like center. Anyways, I'm getting a little too trying to put everything together in my head. I just don't like the offseason for the Lakers. I don't know what else we can do.
You
We
don't
are
think
a
they're
little,
gonna finish as the 3 seed again?
no, absolutely not. I don't.
Lakers
The
play-in
West
team?
with the West as like good as it is, like we did
Yeah.
not do enough for us to be like we're gonna talk about other teams that I think just totally aced free agency out of the park. And like we could have tried to emulate that. We could have I don't know if we shopped around players, we try to trade people. I don't know if it's coming down the line. I
Yeah.
don't know who I'd be willing to give up, but like
Is
we
this
got
a
to do
new
something.
ownership, or what do you think? Do you think that plays a part in this at all? Or is it
I
still
don't
Jeannie Buss? I know she's supposed to be making the move still.
I think it's still that. I think it's Rob Pelinka and Genie. I don't think the new management has had enough time to make big splashes or changes that they wanted to.
Hmm.
I think that would come a little bit later. I think it's just too fresh still,
Does
personally.
Rob Pelinka do anything?
He wears a leather jacket, I'll tell you that
That's
much.
true.
He
I
slicks
have
back his
seen.
hair, I'll tell you that much. Um, no, I mean he's fine. He has done yeah. He did the most important thing, and what he did was he picked up the phone when Nico Harrison called last year.
Yeah.
That's all I ever wanted from the
They
dude.
said, give that boy an extension right
Give
now.
that, please, please, please. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't. That's about all about the Lakers. Let's talk about other teams.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's go past this. The Mavericks. Let's talk about the Mavericks. They hired Frank Vogel as their lead assistant coach. Love
big.
that for him. He's a very good coach.
Love
Uh,
Frank
re,
Vogel.
yeah, re-signed Dante Exum to a 1-year deal. Very good. He's a very good player.
Hmm.
Hope he's back from his injury, right? Because he was out,
I
or
think he
he's
was injured, yeah.
okay. Hopefully he's back. I really like this signing. They signed D'Angelo Russell to a 2-year, $13 million deal with a player option.
Underrated signing for sure.
Underrated.
6.5 for D'Angelo Russell?
It's so
Yes,
good.
sir.
Reunited him and Anthony Davis. So they
Yeah.
already have some chemistry there. Kyrie's going to be out for a little bit. So I think
That
this
torn
is
ACL, yeah.
yeah, so this is he's a great starter for now, and
Oh,
then
for
he'll come off
sure.
the bench. He's going to be great. Kyrie Irving declined his $43 million player option to sign a 3-year, $119 million deal with a player option. I like this in the long run. I think Kyrie Irving will be a bit more unlocked without Luca on the court with them. I think this team is very dangerous at full strength.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Some people are already saying they're a contender when Kyrie comes back, which is a little scary to think about. But I will say this team's going to be huge.
Hmm.
Anthony Davis really wants to play power forward for some reason. He's obsessed with the idea of playing power forward, which he can, I guess. But so if they decide to go that route, that means that Gafford Lively is kind of their center rotation, which we have seen work in the past. Um, that means their three is PJ Washington or Cooper Flag, um, or they start both of them, and then one of them is like their giant shooting guard, um, and then you have D'Lo at the one. Klay Thompson is still on this team. He's probably in that starting lineup too. So yeah, at full strength, I guess their starting lineup is like uh, Kyrie, Clay, Cooper Flag, Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, or Gafford, whoever. And
I
PJ's off
think
the bench in that
I
lineup.
th I think PJ, and I think Cooper Flag off the bench, D'Lo off the bench.
Yeah. And
I
that
haven't
that
seen.
that sounds lovely. That sounds great.
I mean that. I mean, yeah. Even without and then Dante Exum got coming off the bench, he was still very
Yeah.
good. Najee Marshall, we haven't even talked about.
Najee
So
Marshall, that's a good one, yeah.
it's a good, So Mavericks look like, understandably, it was a tough year last year for Mavericks fans, but also, um, there's light at the end of the tunnel for them.
Does
I think
does
that I
uh
think
does D'Lo buy into the defense wins championships?
No.
Is he
But
a
the
Nico
thing is, he's
Harrison
coming
guy?
off the bench, so he's fine. So he's fine.
Uh, do you remember that press conference when D'Lo was like, I want to be Derek White?
Yeah.
Do you think he told Nico Harrison that? So I want to be Derek White. Nico
I
Harrison said,
think
you're on the team, buddy.
I think Nico Harrison was scrolling and he caught that clip and he said, "Hey, what's D'Lo up to? Is he
Okay,
he goes
can we
he's like,
get that
"Oh,
guy on the team?
you gonna get that guy? I haven't kept up with him, but he says he wants to be Derek White. Let's do it."
That's all I need to hear.
That's all I need to hear. Sign me up. Uh Rob Pelinka, you want another pick? Kidding.
You know.
You want your D'Lo back? Okay, anyway, so Thunder. Oh, Thunder. Oh, Thunder.
Oh, Thunder, my Thunder.
Oh, Thunder, my Thunder. Declined AJ Mitchell's team option to sign him to a 3-year, $9 million deal. Cool.
Fair.
Fair. Very good. Declined Jalen Williams' $2.1 million team option to sign him to a 3-year, $24 million deal. It's important to note this is Jalen Williams, J. Will, not J. Dub,
Center.
the All-Star. It's the center. I love that he played minutes. He did a really good
Fair now
job
and
of
then.
getting like under Jokic's skin during that run. I think
Hmm.
really more important than that, he's just been a part of this team since like the beginning, it feels like, and he's a very much like a locker room guy already in this career.
Yeah.
And he's a very good NBA player. So it's nice to see that they're recognizing that and he's sticking around for 3 more years,
Yeah. Little pay
24
raise
million.
for him,
Yeah.
which is nice. And I think, another important thing to think about when you're considering this contract is last year. Hartenstein and Chet both missed a lot of year, so they did need Jalen Williams to go in there as that kind of center, that plug-in center when they needed a guy, and he did a good enough job to help them win a championship. So
Absolutely. And now let's talk about the reigning MVP of the league.
yeah,
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander signed a 4-year, $285 million supermax extension. This will be the largest annual salary in NBA history.
that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. 4 years. I'm a little surprised it's not 5 years. I feel like usually these are 5 years,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So a
yeah.
little interesting to me that it's only 4 years. But I think he's found a home. I think he's
It's
there to
over 70
stay.
mil a year.
Yeah, I mean, who else are you gonna be paying? I mean,
Sure.
this guy MVP. He gets the supermax. That's just what it is. And the reason why, again, like the reason why this is the largest contract annual salary in NBA history is just because of that cap being increased and like
Hmm.
everything. So, last year Jaylen Brown got the largest
Right.
supermax signing. So now it's SGA. It's just going to keep happening. So,
Yep.
just as to the listener, just kind of like letting you know, like this is,
At one point, it
uh,
was Mike Conley.
yeah, it's just going to keep happening. Is the thing. It's just going to keep getting more and more. But I mean, obviously, great signing. He is your
It's almost a
MVP.
million a game.
Yeah, insane. But congrats to him. I mean, he earns it. I mean, he's traded from the Clippers. It's just kind of part of the Paul George trade, and he leads this team to the championship. So,
Big,
congrats to him and his family.
big, big, big.
Grizzlies. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
Memphis. What are you doing? They waived Cole Anthony. Why would you do that? I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I get it.
I think he's theoretically looking for another place to go, but I guess they didn't have a lot in store for him in Memphis.
If the Lakers don't at least call,
Mhm.
oh, they're gonna hear from me. This, just wrenched my heart out of my chest.
Of course.
The Grizzlies traded Jay Huff to the Pacers for a second round pick and a second round pick swap.
Starting center.
Isaiah Jackson, I think, and then Jay Huff. If he's back, Isaiah Jackson. Anyway, Jay Huff, Summer League legend, Chick-fil-A legend.
Sure.
Yeah, probably the most I've seen him get run on the court was it with the Grizzlies, and he did a really good
Yeah.
job over there too. So I'm not stoked for it, um, because I don't know. It seemed like he kind of found a place, and he was
Yeah.
playing really well over there. So what is it like? Zach Edey, Jaren Jackson Jr. are at the five sometimes. Who else?
This next guy as well.
Oh, they signed Jock Landale.
Yeah, we waived him.
Yeah, I saw that. Which, you know what? He didn't get a lot of run. I get it. You guys got more people we're talking about in a little bit later. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think that's fine. I guess they wanted some picks because they're giving up a lot of picks already. So it's like, let's get something back
Rip
and
J-Ha.
rip Jay Huff. Hopefully he gets a lot of run with the Pacers.
Yeah, hopefully
Um,
Tony Bradley doesn't take all those minutes.
Oh my gosh, I hope not. Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome signed to a 3-year, $28 million deal with the Grizzlies. Congratulations, Ty Jerome. This is, we mentioned this earlier with the Cavaliers, kind of expected to get a little bit more, maybe in the 12, $15 million range.
Hmm.
But I like this 3 years, 28 million is I think it's nice. It's longer than like a 1 or 2 year deal. He had a really great season last year with the Cavaliers. It breaks up the isn't it Donovan Mitchell and Ty Jerome like known each other since they were kids, right?
No idea.
Something
Maybe.
like that. There has a connection. There's a connection, so it breaks that up. But hopefully he'll will he start on the Grizzlies?
No,
Who's
probably not.
who's their starting five? Well, okay, let me finish this. They re-signed Santi Aldama to a 3-year, $52.5 million deal. He was I was reading a lot, he was sought after by a lot of different teams. Nice to see he's going to go back to where
It's a lot of money for Santi.
it's a lot of money, but I'm pretty sure other teams were offering about as much. So that's why he was,
Yeah, he was restricted, so they would have had to match whatever anyways.
yeah. And then the Grizzlies re-signed Jaren Jackson Jr. to a 5-year, $240 million max extension with the player option. DPOY 2 years ago. So There's arguably their second best player.
Yeah, worth
Knicks.
mentioning all these deals possible because of the Desmond Bane trade.
Yeah.
So they were paying Desmond Bane a lot. I don't think they would have been able to re-sign Santi Aldama, sign Ty Jerome, or extend Jaren Jackson Jr. to this large of a number, which is a large number, if they didn't trade Bane. So the deal makes a little more sense now when you kind of look at the moves they did afterward.
Yeah, and I think they're kind of hoping, they lost some other players too, but I think they're kind of hoping that maybe this Ty Jerome can kind of fill in that void of
Yeah, it's weird because I
Desmond
feel like
Bane.
him and Scottie Pippen Jr. are both like 6'1".
Yeah, no, it's they're also not like defensive guy. Like Desmond Bane
Yeah,
kind of has some defense in his bag, but these guys not as much. Um, yeah, so I mean, what is their starting five? John Morant, healthy, hopefully.
Ja's in there, Jaren's in there, Zach Edey's
Zach
probably in
Edey, I guess.
there.
Gigi Jackson, probably.
Uh, who did they start at the three last year? Who am I forgetting about?
Desmond Bane, or is it two?
He was the two most of the time.
I think it was Gigi. Not Brandon Clark, that's for sure.
Let's see. Who's in the Grizzlies roster?
Oh boy. Let's look. Oh, Luke Kennard. No, he was off the bench.
Oh,
Uh,
Jalen Wells.
Ah, yes, yes, Jalen. Okay,
He
so
might still
still
be
need.
injured when the season starts, but
Yeah, so I feel
oh,
like Ty Jerome will start them. Oh, Santi Aldama will probably start too.
Santi Alama's 7 feet tall. They can't
No.
start him, Jaren, and Zach Edey.
What? You can't be big. You don't like being big.
Maybe they start Coward. He's only 21, by the way. I said he was 23. I
Yeah.
was
Well,
wrong.
Brandon Clark is still on the team, so maybe they'll play him.
He's like a 4-5. He's not a three.
Yeah, I'm a little lost on all these guys' positions, by the way. I don't know if
Maybe
you've caught
John
that.
Conchar. Maybe they'll
Oh yeah, Conchar, yeah.
they
Uh,
re-signed Cam Spencer. I didn't include that because that doesn't matter.
yeah, exactly. We got Scotty coming off the bench for sure.
Yeah,
It's
Jalen.
an
I think
interesting team. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to think of the Grizzlies this coming year. I'm gonna be honest.
Ty Jerome is 6'5". Never mind. I'm an idiot.
I thought it was 6'1". No, I mean I thought it was 6'1" too. Play
He
that's
feels like he's so small. I don't know why.
yeah. Anyways, I mean, it's stuff I don't really know what to expect from the Grizzlies this year, especially with the West being as it is.
Me neither. Big
So,
question marks.
let's talk about Jared's team. Ah, yes. Shout out Jared. The Pistons. Let's talk about something that sucks real quick. Malik Beasley is being investigated for gambling on NBA games with prop bets. Okay. So we've talked about players betting on NBA games already,
Jonte Porter.
yeah, but also those are players that like are riding the bench and like don't play as
Right.
much. So Malik Beasley. This is a guy who was third best in threes last year, or second best after Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, he had a lot of threes.
He had a resurgence with the Pistons. He played really well in the playoffs. He had a really good season. Um, and now he is being investigated for gambling. And kind of what we talked about a little bit in our group chat when we were discussing this is that this doesn't come out if there's not a little bit of truth or something.
Right.
There's not a little bit of inkling of that, like something like this. I don't know how, one starts the investigation or someone like leaks it or whatever, but I don't know if I've seen a lot of people sharing clips at the end of games, like Malik Beasley, like they're losing by like 7, and then he runs to make sure that he gets one more point in there, so like the bet works. Again, it could just be him being competitive because like I would probably do that. I would just give up, but also maybe he was betting on games. Like there's a couple instances where that happened.
Hmm.
So, I hope it's not true. I hope it's not true, but things like this don't come out of the blue. Like no one's ever been like, "Oh yeah, LeBron James has bet on sports bet." You know what I mean? Like
Right.
because it's not true. So, I don't know. Um Yeah, it's tough also for the Pistons too because he's under contract for another year, I think, right?
I think he's a free agent right now.
Oh, okay. Oh, I remember him and Tim Hardaway Jr. both signed 1 year deals, so that was the end of their deals, right? Gotcha. Well, at least the Pistons are like, okay, I guess we don't. Let's think about a future where we don't re-sign Malik Beasley.
Yeah, it's tough.
So it's tough. Yeah.
It's tough. Also, I want to talk. That's a little bit, even if it is true, it feels like it's being made to be like a huge deal. I feel like I saw clips of like police at his house and stuff. It was like a whole, yeah, it was like a whole thing. Um, so this is what I'll say. Is gambling on the sport that you play wrong? Yes. Is it more wrong than domestic abuse? No. But we have the Miles Bridgeses, the Kevin Porters, those people that are still in the league. So there's that.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate. And I really hope, especially this is like the second time this is coming out, like we're seeing more of all of this kind of stuff coming up. So it's like, can we be a bit more strict on like come up with a policy with a bit more, okay, convicted felons or something aren't allowed to play. You know what I mean? Like instead of,
Right.
but whatever. That's, I hope it's not true. Let's continue. The good news is the Pistons re-signed B-ball Paul Reed to a 2-year, $11 million deal. I like
Woo!
I like Paul Reed.
I like
As
him.
a
He didn't really
as,
play in the playoffs, but sure.
yeah, I'll say as a backup in the regular season, cool. Jalen Duren obviously is the guy.
Duran
Uh,
and beef stew.
yeah, Isaiah Stewart was injured last year
Yeah.
during the playoffs, so he didn't get to play. We'll see what happens with him. Some new signings is that the Pistons signed Karis LeVert to a 2-year, $29 million deal. I
Baby
like Karis
Durant,
LeVert.
they
Yeah,
call
yeah, a weird name because he's
him.
nothing like Kevin Durant to me at least. But Karis LeVert kind of, I guess, trying to replace the scoring that would have come from Tim Hardaway or Malik Beasley. Uh, he needs the ball in his hand a bit more, but at least he can create if Cade's not on the court, which is nice. Like if Cade's not on the court and you have Tim Hardaway, Malik Beasley, like they're just throwing it up. They can't like create for
Right.
themselves. So Karis LeVert is a little bit better. He's not known as a 3-point guy. He's a good mid range. Can get to the hoop. He's not quick, but he's kind of kind of
Yeah.
smart with the ball.
Yeah.
So, I don't hate it. You have another guy that can handle the ball. Jaden Ivey's going to be back this year too, which is important to mention. And then this next signing, which I really want to know your thoughts on, they signed Duncan Robinson. I believe it was a sign and trade of some sort, to a 3-year, $48 million deal, which ends Duncan Robinson's tenure with the Miami Heat.
Most threes all time, I think, over there.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've always been a bit of a Duncan Robinson fan. He used to have a podcast that I used to listen to. Um, he definitely had some success, I think, coming out of their like G League program, and then he signed like a really big deal, like 5 years, 90 million, like, not that long ago, 4 or 5, not eh, some amount of time ago. And I think he wanted to come back to the Heat, but I don't think they were prepared to offer him this large of a deal, which is fair. Um, 3 years, 48 million. I can't do math. 16 million a year. That's how much that is.
Ish, yeah.
It's a lot. Because I don't think he's been great since he signed that larger deal on the Heat. Um, he has added, I think, some kind of slashing to his game, some kind of backdoor cutting and stuff like that. Obviously, he's still a really good shooter. Um, Offensive creation outside of that, not really there. Defense, he tries, but he doesn't have a lot of tools to be a successful defender. But if you're not going to get Beasley back, obviously Tim Hardaway Jr. they don't have anymore either. Here's some shooting, so that's nice. It's nice to have some shooting around Cade Cunningham and Duran since their spacing is a little questionable. So I like it in that regard. It seems like a little much, but if they couldn't get another shooter in this free agency class, this seems like a good guy to get.
Yeah. I feel the same. I like the signings considering like what it was. I kind of think they didn't have to go after like not that Duncan Robinson or Karis LeVert are stars, but they didn't have to go after like bigger names. I think they just needed shooting.
Right.
To because that's what worked last year, right? And then you're gonna have more of your young core like Jaden Ivey on the court. So, I don't hate the signings. I think I like the signings last year a bit more just because their job. Like I don't really know what is Karis LeVert just going to be able to handle the ball when Cade's not on the court. Is that really what you need him for?
Yeah.
But happy for Karis LeVert. He's getting money. It's good for him. I don't think the Hawks are going to give it to him. So Happy for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's continue.
Please, let's stay in the East.
We're staying in the East. We're going with the New York Knicks right now. They hired Mike Brown as their next head coach. Also, might want to mention that Mike Brown has been the only unanimous Coach of the Year recipient ever. So,
Looking at you,
um,
Sacramento.
yeah, and you look, you let go. Anyway, so he's going to the Knicks. I like this a lot for the Knicks. I think Mike Brown's a very good coach. They interviewed Mika Nori, Taylor Jenkins, and James Borrego for the job. I heard rumors that James Borrego might be like the lead assistant they might
Yes, I
hire.
also heard about that.
So that would be pretty cool. But I like Mike Brown a lot for the Knicks. I'm interested to see what else he's able to do to like unlock them, what Tibbs couldn't do, Tom Thibodeau. Um, so yeah, congrats to Mike Brown for the New York Knicks job. They
Yeah, I think he has the personality for it. I feel like you need a
I
personality for that job.
absolutely agree. The Knicks also accepted Ariel Hukporti's $2 million team option. I have no clue who that is.
He is a center over there. He got injured before the playoffs. I like Ariel
Ah,
Hukporti.
cool. I like this signing a lot. The Knicks signed Gershon Yabusele to a 2-year, $12 million deal. He came back last year to the NBA after he had a really good run with France in the Olympics. He had a really good year with the Sixers, especially with Joel Embiid out. He was playing a lot,
Hmm.
getting a lot of run, and he was playing very well. Um, Knicks, I guess the 76ers just couldn't afford to keep him around, so the Knicks got him. And I like him a lot as like a backup to, I guess, if Cat's going to be your four, Mitch Robinson's your five, then he can be back up to that. Or if Cat's your five, Mitch Robinson, he can, but also he can really play the four too.
He's
So
like 6'8". He's not
he's
quite center height.
right.
He's just bulky.
Yeah, he's very bulky, but he's a very good player. So I like this a lot for the Knicks, kind of bolster up your front court.
Hmm.
I always get those mixed up, so it's front court. And then to bolster up your back court, you
There you
signed
go.
Jordan Clarkson to a 1-year deal. Finally,
Great
he's out
signing.
of there. He's out of there.
He's freed from Utah.
Free from Utah.
I think
How do you
they bought him out or waived him or something.
they bought
Um,
him out? Yeah, and then
yeah.
wait so he could sign. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that signing right there, that's solidifying the Knicks as a Eastern Conference contender for me,
Yeah.
with all the other teams kind of being out. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I
I
thought
like
it was
that.
great. I like it a lot. Same starting five, like hasn't don't really have too much movement. No players have really left the Knicks, just kind of added. You're probably gonna lose like probably campaign unless he signed for multiple years. I can't
Who needs him?
remember. I mean, yeah. Um, but
Landry
like
Shamet.
Landry Shamet, stuff like that. But you got Deuce McBride, who I still am we're very big fans of. You got Jordan Clarkson behind that, so
Yeah.
very good for the Knicks, very good signing. Let's talk about the Atlanta Hawks.
Big winners for me.
Absolutely big winners. Might be the biggest, but another team did a really good job too, which we'll talk about. Atlanta Hawks, they traded George Niang to the Celtics and Terrence Mann pick number 22 in this draft to the Nets in a three-team deal for Kristaps Porzingis. So George Niang went to the Celtics, Terrence Mann and pick 22 went to the Nets, and then Porzingis went to the Hawks.
Right.
Um, how do you feel about that?
Um, yeah, it feels like, I mean, I'm a big George Niang hater, so okay. I'm okay with them getting rid of him. Terrence Mann is a fine NBA player, but I think they have guys on their team that kind of does what he does already. And then yeah, the picks, I mean, picks were traded left and right, so they ended up getting a guy anyways at pick 23, so I don't hate them giving up that pick. Not a lot for Porzingis, who I think when healthy, big win, um, has been very good these last couple of years on the Celtics, especially kind of filling in a role. They still have Onyeka Okongwu, of course, who will be their starting center now since they no longer have Clint Capella. And I think Porzingis can kind of add a different dimension to that team. So I like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Also, it's going to be different because now you have a stretch five playing,
Yeah.
which Trey Young probably hasn't had. So,
No.
very cool to see. They also signed Luke Kennard to a 1-year, $11 million deal. Maybe a bit much, but I really like Luke Kennard. on this team with the
He's a
Hawks.
shooter.
He's a shooter, and you need shooters. And then probably one of the best signings,
Hmm.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker to the Hawks signed to a 4-year, $62 million deal. And I didn't actually know this. Trae Young reached out to both Kennard and Nickeil about joining the Hawks. I really like this for
Hmm.
them because Nickeil is a really great defender. He can handle the ball. You he kind of is the mold of DeJounte Murray, but I think it's going to work out better because he doesn't need the ball in his hand like
Yeah.
DeJounte sometimes does. I really like that they're retooling around Trae Young. He had an underrated, really good season last year. I'm glad they kept finally Onyeka Okongwu. Finally, he's just going to be their starting center.
Right.
Finally,
After like three
finally,
years coming off the
yeah.
bench.
I really like. So yeah, let's. What's their starting? Well, tell me what you think about these signings first.
No, these are both good signings. I think Na is going to be great off the bench for these guys. He's going to fill in a good defender responsibility, and then also, um, yeah, he can handle the ball if needed off the bench too. But yeah,
Yeah.
I imagine their starting five is something along the lines of Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, and then the front court is going to be Jalen Johnson and Onyeka Okongwu. And then I guess Reese Shea is probably starting at the three. Um,
I knew I was forgetting some people. I was forgetting literally the three that you just mentioned. Jalen Johnson, awesome. Zachary
yeah.
Richeshay, really good defender. That's what you need, and that's fine. And then Dyson Daniels, another amazing defender. So I kind of like this a lot for the
He's gonna
Hawks.
mess around and be the four seed this year.
I
I'm ready.
know. And then you got Nikhil off the bench, Kennard off the bench who can shoot. God, I like it a lot. I feel like I'm missing some other players I like on this team, but
Tingus Pingus.
what the heck? Oh,
That's
Kobe Buffkin. I like Kobe Buffkin.
Kobe. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. He probably won't get
he's
as
still
much run
young.
with Nikhil now
Yeah,
over there, but
but he's a good
yeah,
player.
no, I like it. I like it for
Oh yeah,
sure.
Porzingis too off the bat. I didn't even mention
Yeah.
him. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna keep moving. We're going to the Celtics.
Hmm.
Celtics, surprisingly, at least to me, did a lot.
They did a lot.
They did so much. Let's break it down. Some smaller signings first. They signed Josh Minot and or Minot. I thought it was
It's
Minot.
Minot, I think. It's weird.
Minot.
I
And
know we looked into this at some point.
I know. I was remember. I think I watched a game and I was like, "Oh, it's definitely Minot." And then I watched another game that said "Minot," and I was like, "Okay, hold up, okay, hold on." I thought
Wait
I
a
had
second.
it.
Wait a
Well,
second
they
here.
signed Josh and Luca Garza to a 2-year, $5 million deals. Fine. Took them from the
The
Timberwolves,
Wolves. Yeah,
both of
both of
them.
them.
Sure. Here's the
Luca
big ones.
Garza, another summer league legend, of course.
Summer League legend. He's a strip legend because you're while I'm walking down the
Yeah.
strip.
Uh,
Uh,
Strip legend
Strip
could be
legend.
crazy without
Vegas strip
context.
legend. Yeah. Like we mentioned it, they traded Kristaps Porzingis in the trade, so they got George Niang and a second round pick. George Niang coming off the bench to be a shooter is fine. It's good. Um, this one was probably the biggest surprise though was they traded Drew Holiday to the Blazers for Anthony Simons and 2 second round picks. You know what was the craziest thing about this trade?
Hmm.
Is that the Blazers already had Drew Holiday.
Yeah, they sure did.
And I
They said
loved
actually we want him back.
when they traded for him. I loved it. We talked about it. I loved it. And then like the next day or two, they're like, "Oh no, we're gonna flip him for." I don't even forgot what they got out of it. So
Yeah,
I don't even remember. So yeah, the Celtics now get Anthony Simons, who's younger, a scorer. Jason Tatum's going to be out probably all year. So the guy who can score besides Jalen Brown and Derek White. So I like it for that reason. Drew Holiday is still a very good NBA player. He's a little bit older. I
hmm.
guess Blazers are thinking, oh, he will kind of show our young guys, hey, defend more, please.
Yeah, he should be good
Um,
for Scoot for Shaden.
yeah. But the Blazers had a really good stretch at the end of last season. I think they're going to be kind of sneaky good. In the West, I mean sneaky good, I mean maybe flirting with the play-in, basically.
Right,
Because there's no way they're like top 6, that's for
right.
sure. But I don't hate it for either team. Um, did the Blazers get anything else besides Drew Holiday, or
No,
just Drew? So they got no picks?
No.
Okay, weird for a rebuilding team to do that, but I still like Drew Holiday on the team. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's clear to me, and this is the next note. This is a money move. This is because Tatum's Achilles injury, I think, because this I think the Celtics are kind of saying next year we're probably not going to be in playoff contention because or in championship contention without our best player. So we should not be paying the second. We should not be in the second apron. The second apron is daunting for teams, and they were going to be in the second apron because they're paying Drew a lot of money. They're paying Derek White a lot, Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, who they got rid of as well, paying a lot of guys a lot of money. So they lost Luke Cornett, which we talked about earlier. They get rid of Porzingis for whatever, and now they're bringing in Anthony Simons, who I think probably will get flipped again. He just doesn't feel like a Missoula guy, like a Celtics guy. Like maybe he spends next year on the Celtics and has the ball in his hands a lot and looks good, and then they retrade him for something else when they're ready to make another title run. Because he doesn't feel like a guy that'll be in that title core for at least like what his skill set is and what they're paying him. I just don't think that, like they want to give Peyton Pritchard $8 million to do scoring off the bench, and that's about what they want for that. They don't want a guy like Simons in the starting lineup, I don't think. But it seems like money moves for that to get below the second apron in this off year the next year will be. And then Drew Holiday for the Blazers, I like a lot. I think he'll show the guards over there kind of how to play well. I like him and like Jeremy Grant and a couple of these older guys. I think will be good kind of veteran leaders for them. So good for the Blazers, I think.
Yeah, on a
And
on
they
a
had a
side,
guard. They had too many guards over there, anyways. So
for sure, for sure. I totally agree. Um, and too many young guards. Like, I mean, I was talking about Blazers, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, you had to worry about giving minutes to Anthony Simons, Shaden Sharp, Scoot Henderson. Um, missing somebody. I know I am. But, now at least you can kind of focus. It seems like they're buying into the defensive mindset, which I love because of Tumani Kamara, Deni
hmm
Avdija is playing really good defense, Klingen. So Drew Holiday you're bringing in. So I think they're trying to go that route, and defense wins championships. On a side note, I looked up the current Celtics roster on NBA.com, and they have no new people. It still says Luke Cornett is still on the Celtics, and still says that Drew Holiday is here. So NBA.com, get with it. Okay, thank
Come
you.
on,
I was trying to think of their starting five, and I can't because they don't have Anthony Simons on here.
Anthony Simons, Jalen Brown, um,
Did you
Derek
see
White.
Derek White? Al Horford is leaving the league. He's retiring.
Is he actually
So it's either he's going to re-sign with the Celtics. There's also huge talks that he will
Nuggets?
go to the Lakers.
Oh,
But as probably just because it's Lakers. But what's the biggest thing is he's probably just going to retire.
dang,
Yeah, but
that'd be
we'll see.
sad.
We'll see. But like if he retires, then who is their starting center? Luca Garza? Xavier Tillman?
It's not
Like,
Xavier Tillman. Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
call.
you know what? Like I only know that because he's here, but I feel like he's not on the team anymore. I don't know. Like,
He
anyways.
was there. He played a little bit in the playoffs.
I know, I know. Torrey Craig, you remember him? I think he's still on the team too.
So-
Anyways,
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do over there.
yeah, it's a little interesting. But you know what? It's the Celtics. They're fine. They won a championship 2 years ago. They're fine. Let's talk about the Nuggets because this was very interesting. This was a
Yeah,
very interesting offseason. The Nuggets first off, they hired JJ Barea as an assistant coach and Jared Dudley as their top assistant coach. Congrats, Jared Dudley, fan of the pod, a fan favorite, a
yeah,
pod
another
favorite.
one.
Yeah, another one. The first thing that they did during this free agency, traded Dario Saric to the Kings for Jonas Valanciunas.
Big.
Love it for the Nuggets. Love
Yeah,
it. Amazing.
Dario
He,
Saric. I feel like I haven't watched him play basketball in 3 years.
literally, ever since he I think he's tore his ACL on the Suns. He's just
hmm
kind of been on three different teams. The Kings, what are you doing? I don't like it at all for the Kings. I think it's
No,
terrible. I think it's a terrible move for the Kings.
separating the Lithuanians should be a
Literally
criminal
should
offense,
be
I
it
think.
is a criminal offense in
Yeah,
Lithuania. They cannot
that's
show their face there anymore. Um, yeah, I love it for the Nuggets. You finally have a competent big man that can come off the bench. behind Jokic. Yes.
But there's a stipulation here. I don't know if you've seen this.
I was about to,
Valanciunas getting pursued by I'm not even going to attempt to say the name, but it's a Greek basketball team. And I actually just saw a report before we came on the pod that said like the Nuggets are expecting Valanciunas to honor his contract and show up. So they're
yeah.
like, "You're not leaving, buddy. Sorry, we need a backup center that's not DeAndre Jordan and Zeke Nnaji, please."
I saw that as well, and I was going to mention it. I'm pretty sure he's going to stay in the league as well.
Yeah,
I don't think playing. I
we need
mean,
more
this
Lithuanians in the NBA, Jonas. You
also
can't
he
do that
can't do
to
that.
us.
Also, this opportunity, like my mom texted me, shout out mom. She texted me like 2 days after and was like, "Did you see Valanciunas is going to the Nuggets?" I said, "Yeah, I'm really sad they split him up, but now he actually has a chance of winning the championship." And she says, "Oh, I'm happy for him." It's like, okay, cool.
Shout out.
Glad that was all that needed to be said. But yeah, no,
Yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot for the Nuggets. This is incredible. That's such a good move for them. That's all you need him is to come off the bench and play really good center minutes. And he's a very competent center. Seen a lot of his play, so I'm sure he'll stick around. Some other very, very good signings that the Nuggets did. They signed Tim Hardaway Jr. and Bruce Brown to a 1-year deal. Remember him? Remember him
yeah.
on the Nuggets?
On the champion Nuggets. Yeah,
Well, yeah, last time he was there, they
it's
won
a
a
great deal.
championship.
He
Yeah.
took like a minimum basically. He was like,
Uh,
I got a ton of money from the Pacers, and then
literally.
they traded me, so I'm good.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was a 2-year, $40 million deal that finally just
Yeah.
got expired by going to the Pacers, the Raptors, and the Pelicans. Now he's back to the
He
Nuggets.
said,
Like
I
now
guess
think
I'll
a
go win
minimum.
again.
Yeah, and Tim Hardaway Jr. super underrated signing. He had a really good season last year. I think he's hot and cold shooter for sure, but he's not your starter. He's coming off the bench.
Yeah.
That's great. Absolutely
They're
great.
starting five. I was about to say it's unchanged, but that's a lie
Yeah, it
because
is a
there's a
lie.
trade.
There was a trade. Michael Porter Jr. and their unprotected 2032 first round pick went to the Nets for Cam Johnson. Let's talk about it. Tell me how you feel about it.
I'm surprised they had to give up a pick. I like Cam Johnson. I think you like Cam Johnson too, but I feel like Michael Porter Jr. the last couple of years has been really good for the Nuggets. Reliable, great shooter, obviously. 2032 is 7 years from now, in case you don't realize that.
They're in middle school.
Yeah, we're not, they're worried about Jokic, they're worried about the now, they're not worried about 7 years from now when Jokic
Good.
is falling out the league. So I'm giving up the picks, whatever. I really like Cam Johnson. Obviously he's going to be more reliable than MPJ with the injury history. He's going to still provide shooting, probably not the level of shooting that Michael Porter Jr. can get you to, because that guy's 6'11 and can just race up over about anyone. Um, he'll also be a better defender. I've seen a little bit of like Cam Johnson 3 and D. We gotta pause on the D for Cam Johnson. He's not quite that, level of
Cam
defender,
Johnson,
but
3.
yeah.
How
So
about 3
I
and
like it
P?
though.
How about 3 and P? 3 and a player. He's a player.
There you go. I like it a lot for the Nuggets. I think, this just he swaps into that starting lineup for Michael Porter Jr. And they still have Aaron Gordon, Jokic, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown. Now you have Bruce Brown off the bench, Tim Hardaway, um,
Russell Westbrook,
Jonas.
possibly.
Russ is out there in free agency still. We'll see if he comes back. Nothing has happened as of yet.
Yeah.
But they don't have a point guard off the bench, so they got to figure that out for sure. I guess Bruce Brown can handle the ball, and you can have Tim Hardaway Jr. handling the ball. You probably don't want to, but you can do it.
Yeah.
And then you still have the Julian Strawthers, Peyton Watsons. Who's that guy that played in the playoffs? Jalen Pickett,
Jalen
Hunter
Pickett, yeah.
Tyson. Just some random guys that maybe need to click eventually. What's his name was injured last year. Is coming back. I was about to say Deron Holmes. I think it is Deron Holmes.
Okay. Hey, good
I was
one.
gonna, I was confusing him and the Kings guy is Devin Carter, I believe. I was confusing
Yeah,
them,
that
the
that
two
his Devin
in my
Carter.
brain.
Gotcha.
But Deron Holmes should be coming back too, so
I think another
hopefully
thing to
some of those
mention.
guys can. Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
another thing to mention just about the trade with Michael Porter Jr. and Cam is that Cam Johnson can create for himself. Michael Porter Jr. can't dribble. Cam Johnson can dribble. He's not like Mikal Bridges. He cannot spot and shoot and then dribble around like back people down, but he can at least get around people while dribbling and then take a shot. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
he's a lot better in that respect compared to Michael Porter Jr. And I like that because then it's not just everyone kind of hanging out waiting for Jokic to find the open man and then throw up a three. It's like he can kind of make things work if Jokic is not on the court creating for them. So I like this a lot for them. Their team, I think Cam Johnson's older by like a year or two,
Yeah, it's
maybe.
pretty close. He's like
It's really
28
close.
already.
I think this is more of a trade because Michael Porter Jr. just kind of been injured when they need him, and
Yeah.
Cam Johnson has been a bit more. Although he has sat out, he's
He's
been a bit
also
more
Cam Johnson's
dependable.
also making less money. Michael Porter Jr. is making like 30 plus
Yeah.
million. So
So I like it a lot for the Nuggets. I like it for the Nets. I think Cam Johnson had to be moved anywhere. I think it's a pretty good package to get back. You're going to get a pick that might be worth a lot in 2032 if Jokic is not in the league anymore and the Nuggets are tanking. So,
yeah.
yeah, I think the Nuggets did a really good job.
Michael Porter Jr. and Cam Thomas. Oh boy.
Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I have not thought about the Nets starting five. I
I couldn't tell you.
yeah,
No clue.
yeah, is Claxton still going to be there? We'll find out, I guess. Um,
Uh,
all right, now I want you to take this next team.
yeah.
So
How's your throat feel, buddy? You've been talking forever,
dude, my throat is killing me.
huh?
No. But this is like I love talking. I don't know if you could tell. I love talking free agency and like how
Yeah,
things are
yeah.
going to be different. But this is all you. You deserve this. Let's talk about it.
I deserve this. The Houston H-Town Rockets actually just recently traded Cam Whitmore to the Wizards for two second-round picks, so that was a little bit of a blow. I was reading into it, and apparently we were working with Cam Whitmore's camp to get him somewhere where he thinks he will have more opportunity. Makes sense. The Rockets are entering that contention status. Cam Whitmore doesn't really fit the Ime Udoka type because he's not really a defender, but he is a bucket. Summer League MVP when we went. So we love Cam Whitmore, and I
Nothing but
think he
love.
could. I think he can be great in this league. Unfortunate that it won't be with the Rockets. Hopefully, he can find that success on the Wizards, and they can hopefully give him some playing time with all the weird veteran guys they have over there. I don't know. We'll see. Two second round picks, whatever. I think there could have been a team that gave us more, but maybe that we didn't want to put Cam Whitmore in that situation. I don't know. Wish him the best. Re-signed Aaron Holiday, Jeff Green, and Jay Tate all to 1 year deals. It's okay with that. Um, those are all basically like third stringers, like the guys that we really only bring in if we have injuries or we're blowing teams out. But I think in terms of locker room guys, grit guys, I'm okay with that. We brought back Clint Capella, not brought back as in we re-signed him. He's been on the Hawks rotting away for years. I feel like I haven't seen him
Rotting.
play basketball in years. And now he's on the Rockets, 3 years, 21.5 million. It's an interesting move because we re-signed Steven Adams. Now, Steven Adams hasn't always been the pinnacle of health himself. So maybe that's just a kind of another insurance option there at the big position. I feel like also the Rockets in the playoffs, they realized they liked playing Shingun and Steven Adams when we were just absolutely outboarding everybody. So now this gives us another option to double big if we want. So that's fine. We didn't overpay him or anything. This deal I thought was great, signing Dorian Finney-Smith from the Lakers, 4 years, 53 million. Thank you so much. I love that for the Houston Rockets. Because we gave up Dylan Brooks, and I think he kind of fills that role, being a 3 and D offense, both ways, two wing kind of guy, which is great. I love DFS. I love him as a player. Very happy to have him on the team. And then we declined Fred VanVleet's $45 million team option because we signed him to that huge deal a couple of years ago, and gave him 2 years, 50 million instead. So he took way less money, which is nice, and
Still a
allowed us to
lot.
make some of these other moves. Yeah,
Still
still
a lot.
25, but he has really been holding us down, so I'm okay with it. I'm fine. I think when the huge deal that happened 3 years ago, I was like, what are we doing? It has grown on me over time, so I'm no GM, but that's good. And then we also re-signed Jabari Smith Jr. 5 years, $122 million. I really like that number. Not a lot for Jabari Smith, number three pick a couple years ago. Obviously, he hasn't been as successful as Paolo or Chet, but I think he has been buying into kind of role player mentality. That's what it feels like over the past couple years, and I really like that. Um, So yeah, with these guys, I would predict our starting lineup is going to be something like Fred Van Fleet. Who's our shooting guard? I
Not
can't
a Min
remember.
Thompson.
Amin Thompson, thank you. My favorite Rocket, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really think of him as a shooting guard, but that's kind of where he
I know.
fits
I
into the lineup.
yeah.
Um, Fred VanVleet, Amin Thompson, Kevin Durant, Jabari Smith, Şengün. It's probably going to be our starting five. And then off the bench, we'll have Dorian Finney-Smith, we'll have Tari Eason, we'll have both the bigs I mentioned, Steven Adams, Clint Capella. Reed Shepard is sitting there somewhere. Aaron Holiday, if we need another
Jeff
guard. Jeff Green, Jay
Green.
Sean Tate. I mean, we have so many guys. I love it. The Rockets, we just finished the two seed. We're about to be the two seed again. So get ready.
Yeah. No, we're gonna talk about winners and losers in a second, but newsflash, the Rockets won for the offseason so far. I'll tell you that much. But so one more team we want to talk about. So, well, I guess let me just tell you my 2 cents about the Rockets.
Yeah.
It's awesome. They did a great job. I love everything they
Yeah.
did.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
Jock Landale's no longer there. That's fine. Cam Whitmore, I agree with you. Love him. Wish him the best. Wizards, hopefully give him the minutes he deserves. They get rid of some of the older guys. I'd love to see Cam just hooping in a Wizards jersey. And it's gonna be great. There's one more team we want to talk about, and I want you to take it because my throat
Okay.
hurts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Milwaukee, the Bucks, probably the most surprising team, I would say, this free agency with some of the things that happened. I was just so caught off guard. They traded legend Pat Connaughton, who we talked about way too long last time on this podcast, as a dual sport athlete. And I misspoke. I listened to that podcast. I misspoke like three separate times about it. It was
I did
awesome.
too.
Um,
So,
But they traded him and two second round picks to the Hornets for Vasily Micic. We talked about he accepted his like $8 million player option or something like that last time. Um, I've heard conflicting reports about this. What I first read is that the Bucks were going to waive Micic because he wants to go back overseas because he hasn't had a great time in the NBA, which is fair. And then I also heard that he was going to be their backup point guard. So I don't know which of the things is true. He will either be there or he will not.
I like him sticking around. I think
Yeah.
is because I think maybe he's only been on the Hornets. I think so. This will be a good change.
And I think it was in the Hawks. I
I
could
don't
be
know.
I could be mistaken. Him and Vit Krejci, I get mixed up. So,
That guy was definitely on the Hawks.
well, when you're right, you're right.
I think.
Um,
Anyways,
they signed Gary Harris to a 2-year deal with player option. I like that. I like Gary Harris getting going to a team where they need guys, basically.
yeah,
And I think he'll actually play a role here. Obviously, with the Magic trading for Desmond Bain, they have Jalen Suggs. Not a lot of room for Gary Harris to really get a lot of run there, so I like this for him. They re-signed Jericho Sims, Torian Prince, Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., all to 2-year deals ranging between $7 and $11 million each. All fine players, I think, that will all play except maybe Jericho Sims, although they might need him now that they don't have Brook Lopez anymore. They might need him to play some backup 5 minutes. I don't know who they're starting. Oh, yeah, I do know who their
yeah,
starting
yeah.
center
You
is.
know, yeah, you know.
Yeah, I do. What am I talking about? So yeah, maybe he will play some of those backup 5 minutes. They re-signed Bobby Portis, 3 years, $44 million. Kind of a lot, but Bobby Portis, he's like the soul of the Bucks and has been since that championship in 2021. So don't hate that
Al-
deal.
Also, still a very good NBA player.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Probably coming off the bench, I would imagine. Sixth
and
man.
legend. When Bobby Porter screens you, you know it.
You know you've been screened.
You know
Yeah,
you've been screened.
I forgot
Thank
about that
you.
one. Here was a very surprising thing that occurred. They waived and stretched Damian Lillard. I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know. I mean, I feel like I've seen players on teams' cap books. I'm like, how is this player on this cap book? He's been out of the league. They probably did this, and I didn't realize it. So they waived him, of course, injured in the playoffs, stretched his contract. It was 2 years, 113 million, which is a lot of money. They're now stretching it over the next 5 seasons. So I believe this next upcoming season will be 22 million and then so on and so forth after that. And the reason they did this, aside from citing all the minor players I just talked about, is that they signed Myles Turner to a 4-year, $107 million deal with a player option and 15% trade kicker, meaning he'll get paid more if they decide to trade him. crazy that this happened. Signed him from the rival Pacers, and they've had the in-season tournament bouts where they're hating each other. We had the Giannis game ball thing. Remember that?
Game Ball Gate? Of course, how could I
Yeah.
forget?
So I mean, this was a crazy move and a big blow for the Pacers personally for me. I thought this guy was a Pacers lifer. I thought he finally cleared the trade rumors after being in them for 7 years. From what I understand, with the Halliburton injury, he is he wanted about this much money and they didn't want to give it to him because they didn't want to pay the tax. Boo. Boo Pacers. You just went to the finals. Pay the tax. I know you're not probably not gonna make it next year with Halliburton being out, but I feel like Myles Turner has earned it. So I didn't like that
Absolutely.
they didn't do that. Huge get for the Bucks. A younger version of Brook Lopez stretches the floor, plays good defense, although those things kind of came and went throughout the playoffs, but it has
Yeah.
for Brook Lopez too. Um, Crazy that they waived an all-star level caliber player in Damian Lillard that they just traded for a couple seasons ago. Um, I get it to an extent because it allowed you to sign Myles Turner. That's huge. And I think they wanted to kind of keep the Giannis era kicking because Giannis every year is like, we need to do something to make us competitive. And Damian Lillard making, $60 million not playing is not going to help you be competitive. So I get it from that aspect. He just seems like way too good of an NBA player to waive. Like it's like a disrespect kind of thing. Um, and that really caught me off guard. And I it sucks too for him because he was kind of traded here against his will. He kind of said, "I'll stay in Portland. Like I'll be here and we'll be mediocre for the rest of my career. That's fine." They traded him here, gets injured, has the blood clot, comes back from the blood clot to play in the playoffs because he wants to try to give them a chance. Then he gets that severe injury, Achilles for him, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Um, and now they waived him. So really sad for that reason. I think personally he's probably okay, like not being on the Bucks. But just in terms of I got waived, that sucks. This does allow him, of course, to now choose his next destination, where he signs to. I don't know if he'll do it this season. Maybe he just stays a free agent, signs next season when he's going to come back from his injury. Um, yeah, it's just a big deal. I also saw some Giannis rumblings about how Giannis was like, yes, I want Myles Turner, but then like the way they handled the Damian Lillard thing, he was like, oh, I didn't like that. Why did we do that?
Yeah.
Um,
I heard
but
that too,
yeah,
yeah.
just a lot of crazy moves for the Bucks this offseason, trying to make moves in again an Eastern Conference that looks like it is basically wide open with the Celtics and the Pacers both missing their best players. So I just talked for a while. What do you think about the Myles Turner, Damian Lillard of it all?
Yeah, I mean, so much of the same things you said is how I felt when it happened. I thought Myles Turner was finally going to be a lifer. Indiana just needed to pay him what he was deserved. This is not him being crazy asking for about this much money. Like this is
No.
how much even in the playoffs, even though he didn't live up to, you know, sorry, not playoffs, the finals, didn't really live up to, what was expected throughout the year and the playoffs, like he still was really, really good and took him all his 7 games. And all you had to do was pay the guy what he was deserved. And now he's on the rivals team. You get nothing back. Instead of being trading Myles Turner and getting like some pieces or picks or whatever, now you just get nothing. So now you just have a void at your center position. Um, and then on the Buck side, I think Damian Lillard is okay with it because of that reason. He's kind of like, oh, I get to choose where I want to go. I guess like he comes back maybe, end of this year, next year, back to Portland. Who knows? That'd be cool. He wouldn't,
Hmm.
but probably wouldn't play as much because they're trying to really develop those young guys. But maybe he can go to Miami like he wanted to. So, I think it's fine with like taking out the human element, like just looking as a business standpoint. Like the Bucks getting Myles Turner is great. Myles Turner is a very good NBA player. Giannis and him as your front court is very daunting. My only question with the Bucks now is okay, so everyone else is just gonna like be there. Um, oh, I forgot Kuzma. Oh, no, never mind. They're fine. I forgot. He has Kuzma. Um, I'm just yeah, a little
Yeah.
confused with. I hope Kuzma takes a step in the right direction, kind of being more of the guy they need, maybe without um I don't know, anyone else on this team that can handle the ball. He'll have to, you know. I know Kevin Porter Jr. is probably going to start for them, and I hate that. Um, but
So
I think
starting
the
point guard.
Bucks. I kind of think the Bucks are. I kind of look at them exactly where they were last year. I think they're about the same, in all honesty. I don't think this makes them like a lot better. I mean, if obviously they're better if they didn't. If they're a lot better. There would be so much worse if they just waived Damian Lillard and didn't have Myles Turner back. You know what I mean? But I think as they are, I think they're like 5, 6 seed, if that. I
Yeah.
just don't know. It's a lot on Giannis's back, but hopefully he's happy, so he sticks around.
Whew. Crazy.
It's a
Crazy,
lot.
crazy.
It's a lot of really was probably the most surprising thing. That and Kevon Looney were like the two like biggest surprising things that happened.
Feels like we
I
were
was
talking about
not.
Kevon Looney like an hour and a half ago.
I know. I was not surprised that the Lakers totally biffed it. I'll tell you that much.
Uh,
Winners, losers of free agency, losers, Lakers.
I'll
Just
throw the
because.
Lakers. I'll throw the Pacers losing Myles Turner. It
Yeah,
sucks.
absolutely. I mean,
Well,
who else? I guess like I don't want to
the
say
Kings, I don't know what they're doing.
Kings, Kings for
They did
sure.
get Dennis Schroeder, which is nice, but
Dennis Schroeder's good, but knowing his luck, he'll be traded next year. So he'll go to a team he hasn't been on yet, complete the rainbow.
oh
Um,
goodness.
but yeah, I don't know. Definitely, winners is a lot easier to talk about because I mean, let's
Yeah,
be
for
honest. I
sure.
think the Rockets,
Big
Rockets,
winners.
Hawks, Nuggets
Yeah.
killed it. They killed it. I thought the Nuggets weren't gonna do anything. I thought they
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah,
do
yeah.
anything. I thought maybe they'd just do the Cam Johnson trade, and that was it. Um, but they did so much more around the edges, which is gonna make them like I
Big,
really
big
haven't.
W's.
Yeah, I've not been confident. I haven't been confident in this team since they lost Bruce Brown and KCP and all that. So this is awesome for them. The
What do you think?
Hawks.
Do you think the? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say just that the Hawks, I think, did a really awesome job too, retooling around. This is how you retool correctly.
Hmm.
You're really getting guys that are going to play really well against your best player on the team, and also you added defense and shooting. That's literally what you needed. Good
Yeah,
job.
I'd kind of
A
been over the
plus.
Trae Young era, but this got me back in.
Kind of revitalized. Yeah, and I liked watching them last year, like their play with Dyson Daniels and Trey Young, and didn't even have Jalen Johnson. I like him a lot too. So, sorry, you're gonna ask me about.
I was gonna say for teams like the Bucks, even the Celtics to an extent, with the kind of the moves they made, do they lean winner or loser towards you, or or which one do they lean towards? You think for you rather?
I think Bucks lean toward winner.
Yeah,
Because they are better now than if Damian Lillard wasn't going to play at all. So they did what
right.
they had to do. I didn't love the method, but they did what they had to do. I think, they got back a lot of the people that were good for them last year, so that's a win. Um, Celtics lean, it's tough. What about you? What do you think? I don't know. Celtics are tough for me.
Celtics are weird. Yeah, they made a lot of weird moves today.
I'd probably say loser because they have like
Yeah,
no
it feels
center now.
losery.
Yeah, and it's weird because like usually they pull really good moves that make me upset, but now I'm just kind of like, oh,
I
like they
usually am
usually
mad
like
that they're
they get Drew
successful.
Holiday for like almost nothing. I'm like, what the heck? They didn't need him, and now I'm like, oh, they kind of didn't do like a lot that makes me like scared or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it leans loser for me. Um, yeah, a lot of teams didn't do much. I think Mavericks probably winner. I just like that D'Lo signing a
Deal
lot.
deal is a good steal.
Yeah. Thunder really didn't do much. I didn't think they had to. I think a lot of teams just kind of stayed where they needed to be. Clippers, winners. I would say they're winners.
Brook Lopez, good deal.
Brooke Lopez, very good deal. Um, Besides that, you want to go over the outstanding free agents?
Yeah, just a couple of people I thought still out there worth mentioning. Restricted free agents, we have Josh Giddey, Quentin Grimes, Jonathan Kuminga. There's been a little talk with, I think him and the Warriors are kind of done. That's what it seems like. Heard talks of him going to the Kings. Yay for the
Oh,
Kings, I
who?
guess. Jonathan
Who?
Kuminga.
Oh, the Kings?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, another guy who can't shoot and a scorer. Awesome.
Cam Thomas is restricted for the Nets. They haven't worked out a deal there. I think Grimes, who did he get traded to? The Sixers.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I feel like he'll come back. Giddy, I think we're looking at like 30 million, but no signing happening. I think what's happening with maybe all these guys is instead of offering deals right away, teams are seeing if anyone else can offer them. And now that a lot of teams have made moves, they're like, hey, we can lowball you a little bit. No one else
yeah,
is going to sign you for 30 million, Josh Giddey, so we'll give you 22 million instead.
yeah. I
We'll
kind of
see.
think a lot of these guys will be re-signed except Kuminga. He's like the only one
Yeah.
who oh might be a sign and trade too,
Hmm.
which happens in these kind of situations. But yeah, I kind of see everyone else going to their team.
Yeah, and then unrestricted is where it gets a little more interesting. Chris Paul still out on the market right now. Wasn't the Spurs, of course. I guess with also with Dylan Harper going number two. I forgot to mention the last pod. I was like, they have Castle and Chris Paul. I didn't say De'Aaron Fox. Insane.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. I was like, oh, there is someone else there. Yeah,
but I've heard some rumors of him going to like the Clippers as like a backup wing guard going back there. I did hear today actually this may be his farewell tour. He may be calling it after the season. So we'll see. Al Horford, we talked about a little bit. I
yep.
heard some Nuggets rumors. You said Lakers. Maybe he goes back to the Celtics. He's old. I'll tell you that much.
I also yeah I honestly heard that he might just leave the league. He might just
That would
retire.
be sad. We need an Al Horford farewell tour. We need it.
Do we?
He's he's earned it. I don't know.
Okay.
Chris Boucher for the Raptors. Whatever. D'Anthony Melton. He's been a little weird the last couple of years with that injury. It's kind of bounced
Mm.
around from team to team. Russell Westbrook is still out on the free agent market. Hopefully he goes back to the Nuggets because I feel like that team could be really good. So
I like him with the Nuggets. I really hope he goes back. Yeah.
yeah. Malcolm Brogdon was on the Wizards? Question mark. What are the
Yes.
random old guys over there?
Yep. He was a lot. Yep. He's on them. Yep.
We'll see if he goes anywhere. Alec Burks for the Heat. He just signed that 1 year deal last year, so now he's nowhere. Amir Coffey, Clippers lifer. He better go back. Um,
Sure.
and then Gary Payton the second. I feel like he can only play for the Warriors, so I don't
Yeah.
know where else he would go.
All right.
That's
Welcome to the Lakers, Alec Burks. Come on.
those are the moves that have happened and still need to happen, and that was a lot. What? How long is this podcast? Like 2.5 hours?
I don't
This
know. I
feels
just know I have to
years.
use the restroom really bad. Oh, no, I'm
All
kidding.
right.
No, but no, I'm very curious to see, what if anyone's listening, not if whoever is listening, what you guys think of the free agency? Who do you think is like the now like really contenders, or who do you think are losers and other things of that nature?
I'm excited for our standings predictions and such.
I know. I mean, it's not even over. Like, there still might be
No,
other
no, no.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. So, we'll see if people stick around, like Valanciunas and Micic, or if they leave. We'll keep everyone up to date on that kind of stuff. But it's the off season, so we'll do a pod once a week, and we'll kind of fill in what's going on.
Next time, we'll probably talk about Summer League. I think most of that
Yeah,
will be in the books by then. And then we'll start just busting out the random ideas because it'll be the dead
yeah.
of the off season, and
Lovely,
that's what we do.
lovely. Absolutely.
It's
Well,
my favorite though.
yeah, here we go. Damon is going to take the shot at the end of every podcast, the one that he takes and he makes. Damn, hit the shelf. It's okay
Uh,
though. Hey, man, it's okay. Um, I also didn't. I forgot to mention. I love that PJ Washington is still on the Dallas Mavericks, so your poster is still
Still good. We're
relevant.
still good.
Dude, it's so everything you give me is not now irrelevant. Sucks.
I need to stop giving you stuff. That's what I've learned.
No, no,
Nope,
no. I
no like
love it.
specific player related things at least.
I know, but I love it. I love it so much. Anywho, I just wanted to say thank you everyone who listened, and I hope you enjoyed the pod as much as we love doing it, and still got a lot more exciting announcements coming later this summer. So stay tuned for that, and thank you again for listening. This has been Two Man Game with Damon and Dom.
Buckets!